let it not end today after this conference. Be of use in your church, in your mosque, be of use. I thank God that He has brought us to this particular hour, and because I've been given 5 minutes, I want to share the word of God very briefly. From the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, the Bible says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." I know after this, we are going back to our stations, those of us who are principals, and I think it's an opportune time that we wish one another a happy new year, because in the education fraternity, we are starting a new year. So we are inviting all of us to wish us a blessed year 2022. The voice of our Father this morning encourages us to be strong in the year 2022. In this scripture, God gives a promise that He will be with us wherever we will go. In your family, He will be with you. In your school, He will be with you. He says, "Have I not commanded you?" So let us leave this conference with a promise that we are not alone, that despite the challenges around us, let us hear the voice of the Father, the voice that says He is with us wherever we will go, the voice that says, "Be strong and of good courage," the voice that says, "Do not be dismayed." Let that voice silence all the other voices. Let that voice be an encouraging voice. Let that voice be a helping voice that will encourage you to move forward despite the many things. As Kesha fraternity, we have a reason to thank God. We have a reason to give Him all the glory and honor for His faithfulness. We have had a very successful conference. So we are telling ourselves this morning, it is well with us. The Lord is on our side. He commands the oceans where to stop, and therefore there is nothing impossible with Him. He says, "Do not be anxious over anything, but by prayer and supplication, you make your request known to Him." What is your request this morning? Bring it to the Father. So as I conclude, I leave you with these 3 things. Be strong, be of good courage, do not be afraid. The Lord is going together with you in the year 2022. Enter this year with confidence. It is the shortest year, I think, in the history of 844. So we tell ourselves we are going to do extraordinary things because the one who created the heavens and the earth has promised to be with us. May God bless you so much. My name is Juliana Kirui, Principal Moi Girls Eldoret, was in Gishu County, and because our county was representing our conference this morning, I want to invite the Principal Laborate Secondary School, Mr. Bet, to close with a word of prayer. God bless you. Go in the confidence of the Master. Thank you, and God bless you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Like has been said, my name is Kenyan Constitution. I'm the principal of Laborate Boys High School. That school is in Nandi County. I'd like to invite all of us to stand up and let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, we come before you this morning. Lord, we come before you with the confidence that you have given us. We come before you with the confidence that you have invited us to have. That even as we approach your throne, we do so with confidence. We want to thank you, Lord, that you have given us yet another day. But we thank you much more because you have given us 5 days of wonderful fellowship and 5 days of wonderful learning, 5 days of great sacrifices that many people have made so that we can come here together. And so, my Father, as we declare the successes of the 4 days that are behind us, we are confident that yet this last day will be with greater and greater success. We want to thank you, my Father, for the many of us that we gathered us from the different corners of this country. And we want to thank you for the hospitality that we have experienced in this place. And we thank you for the learning that we have had. And yet, my Father, we have been encouraged that not only do we learn, but we put into practice the learning that we experience. We now want to ask you, Lord, that as we prepare to travel back to our different destinations, you will not only give us the protection to get to our different places, but you will also give us the understanding and the wisdom to be able to apply that which we have learned. I want to thank you for the leadership of this organization that has graciously prepared a very wonderful session from Monday even up to today. And we want to ask, my Father, that as they go back to their different duties, we bless them. Bless everybody who has been involved in making this organization successful, and bless us all together. We also want to pray for the students who shall be meeting on Monday. Jehovah, you will unite us with your love. We also pray for the parents that sacrifice every day that they may have these children in our respective schools. And so, my Father, we ask that as we engage in the noble duty that has been given us for this nation, in the implementation of the different programs that have been given to us, and particularly the CBC, God, give us the courage we have had of today. Give us the boldness to face the challenges that indeed we have been told will be coming before us. And so we ask, oh God, that as we go through this day, may your love and your wisdom empower us to be able to listen to and be able to understand all that which we are being taught. And so may your grace abound in our lives, for this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Thank you very much. Please be seated.
Thank you so much. I'm smiling because as Mr. Bet and Madam Juliana walk down, those are very pivotal people who have raised me up in the person I am today. I appreciate them. Let's appreciate them one more time as they go down. I refer to them as mom and dad because they've literally raised me up. So today our program is short and sweet. We're going to make it very short and sweet. So to start us up is the Kenya, what we call the College and University Placement Agency CEO. We'll have 5 minutes. We have around 2 or 3 sponsors, then we shall go straight to the program. So why don't you put our hands together as we receive the CEO of Cooper as he comes to do his presentation. Let's clap for him kindly.
Thank you very much. God is good, and all the time. Do something, and I had requested for 15 minutes, but then I was told 15 minutes is an impossibility. So I was told to squeeze it to 5 minutes, and I'm assuming now half a minute is over, so I have about 1.5 minutes. Now, why am I here? Now, we know probably today or Monday, the Form 4 results are going to be released. And when the Form 4 results are released, we know for sure what will happen to these students. Many of you, probably some of you, not many of you, some of you were in the system that was before 844 system. And I'm lucky to have gone through that system. And immediately, and that's the time you are taking 2 years before going to college. And immediately after doing my Form 6 exam, I got a job where I finally actually stayed for the rest of my working career, because after college, I went back to the same job. And this was before I had any technical skills. But our Form 4s now, as they leave college, an opportunity to actually get employment, to actually get anything. Now, majority of them actually stay at home without having anything to do, now waiting for the government to place them to colleges. Now, the government, historically, the learners in Kenya have a very low transition rate from secondary school to tertiary education. And ladies and gentlemen, this year, already we have had one cohort that has left, and we are going to have another cohort of Form 4s that will be leaving in November. These are the ones who are now going Form 4. And many of these might not know might not transition to higher education simply because opportunities are unknown to them. Irrespective of the grade they score, Cooper, as an agency, is bringing at their disposal information about possible collegiate placement locally and abroad. We are calling on you, the principals, to partner with us on this journey. We desire to be the bridge connecting your students to their destiny. Now, how are we doing this? We know approximately 30% are placed. And out of this 30%, if you look at the data for 2020, about 500,000 students, 500,000 students were not placed. And these are the students that sometimes we might waste them because they don't have any knowledge on where to go. Opportunities are there in even private institutions. And we are talking here about privately sponsored students who are not necessarily going to be sponsored by the government. Because the ones who are sponsored by the government, they are reasonably well taken care of. But the ones who are not sponsored by the government are not taken care of. Now, there are also opportunities outside the country. To give you a simple example, it's unfortunate that there is a war in Ukraine. But to give you a simple example, it is cheaper to take a student from Kenya to Ukraine goes to Ukraine. And there are many opportunities. Sorry, I mentioned about Ukraine, and we know right now no parent would want to take a student to Ukraine. But those are realities, and there are many other opportunities that exist. Irrespective of what your students get, irrespective of what our students get, our sons and daughters, there is the hassle of knowing what they will do next. Even if it's an A student, even an A student sometimes will struggle to get the appropriate career for them. Even when we have a D student is even worse because the D student, nobody seems to care about. But if you have two sons, for example, one gets an A, one gets a D, the tension that we have is for the student who got an A to go to university. But these other ones are left to hustle and they go to Mjengo, and that life becomes very hard very difficult for them. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at Kenya's TVET institutions, we have about, if you look at the middle level colleges without counting the universities, we have about 2,200 institutions, 2,200. And out of these 2,000, this world, the RVIPs, the Rift Valley Institute of Business Studies, in Nakuru, we have in Nairobi various transition to happen. It is very important that us as principals, we direct our students to those institutions. Now, our intention as an agency is to reach out to the 10,437,000 secondary schools in the Republic of Kenya. Currently, the government agency is reaching out to about 24% of the 10,000. They're reaching about 2,400 students. But now there are other colleges and schools that don't place their students anywhere. Now we need to reach out to them. And as I finish, because I can see I've been told my time is up. What's your role? Your role is very simple. I want to request you, kind request, pick your phone, because I've been told that my time is up, or take your pen, and write www.cupa.co.ke. Some of you have already visited us in our website. Some of you, we had a virtual meeting. We were privileged to have a virtual meeting with many principals. We would want to continue engaging you, and especially for this cohort of students who are now going to Form 4. We want to work with you closely on that. Cooper wants to partner with you. We promote this as a joint venture with you, and whatever little revenue that we might get, we are going to return it back to society by having community engagement, community social responsibility activities in an area near your school. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May the good Lord bless you and have a safe journey going back home. Thank you very much.
Let's appreciate him. He has actually kept time. Very good. I want to request every other speaker coming here, don't allow me to ask you for time. Just let's move it very fast. Next, let's have Rahim from Scania. Karibu.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to see each one of you of how God has sustained you. You look better than I last saw you in 2019 before the pandemic. We are grateful for another chance. Buses and some have come for the second and third purchase, giving us confidence in our product. Who and where is Scania? Scania is a heavy commercial manufacturer for trucks, buses, generators and marine engines since 1891 and in over 100 countries worldwide. Our main head office is in Sweden. Our East Africa head office is in Nairobi, Syokimau, Mlolongo. We have branches in Eldoret, Nakuru, Mombasa, and more coming up soon. We are also in Tanzania since 1970s, Uganda, and Rwanda. The category of products for Scania school buses are the F31067 seater on special offer for 12.8 million plus VAT, approximately 14.850 million. And we have the F250-56 seater from 10.5 million plus VAT, approximately 12.5 million. So why Scania? Scania is known for great power, up to 310 horsepower and 250 horsepower, shortening travel period, long service intervals of 30,000 kilometers, that is low maintenance cost once a year, offering one service on purchase. Fuel efficiency on our buses is 3.5 kilometers a liter to 4 kilometers a liter with large fuel tanks of 500 liters. We also have a fleet management system inbuilt in our buses, which shows vehicle position, tracks routes taken, gives fuel analysis, shows driver behavior and vehicle performance and attention required. This system is loved by our PSV owners who capture all data for drivers, how they're driving the vehicle, and captures also We would also want to recognize Nasok girls and Lona Loboso who have pulled together, recognize the schools with special abilities. We have also done excellent wheelchair ramps for various institutions, both schools and universities. We invite also schools to our new workshop along Mombasa Road for student tours for those interested in mechanical engineering and automotive field. We also have our in-house finance available known as Scania Credit Solutions. The requirements are approval from Ministry of Education, minutes from BOM and PTA approval for the purchase of bus and appointment of the officials. 1-year bank statement, PIN registration, 5% deposit with an LPO. Stop our desk at the tent out there. Thank you very much and I wish you all a pleasant day ahead.
Thank you very much. We want to request that every sponsor who spoke from the first day to today, please come to the stage. We want to give you your gifts as we end today. So next is Moran Publishers. Thank you very much. Just 2 minutes. Let's do this as fast as possible. Karibu.
Thank you to our chair, the executive, and our principals. Good morning. My name is Geoffrey Lijodi. I work with Moran Publishers, and we are here to partner with you and to share with you our experiences and to thank you for your support. From Moran Publishers, we have varied products. To start with Moran Secondary Atlas that is approved, and would like to recommend it to you so that maybe when the Form 1s are joining and you have a chance, you can recommend it for effective teaching and learning. On the screens, we have a book on life skills for boys, Even Boys Cry, a book that gives learners, the boys, an identity a book that talks about drug and substance use and how to go about challenges that they face in school. We have also a book on careers, pathways. Career Pathways has integrated different aspects of behaviors that go in line with the different courses. And this is a book that you can come to our stand and purchase at discounted prices. We also have a book on fistula. Fistula Diaries has stories about ladies and women who have undergone fistula challenges. You can come also to our desk and purchase it for your own use and for use in your communities. With that, I would wish to thank you all for your support. We used to have a series of class readers called the Macmillan, and now we are calling them the Moran Pulse, that you can recommend to your Form 1s and Form 2s to improve in the reading of English. With that, I want to thank you all for your continued support. My number is on the screens. You can save it, 0733 343 280. Thank you, and we wish you safe travel back to your stations. Asanteni.
Thank you, Moran. Very short and sweet. Next is Eagles Publishers. As Eagle Publishers come, I want to ask Lukenya to also be with me on stage.
All protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Josephine Kinyanzu. I am Josephine Kinyanzu. I am a teacher of English and curriculum developer with KICD. I am here to talk about that book on the screen. And as I begin, let me say that you are the artist of your own life, so you don't have to hand in the brush to anyone else. As I was reading one of the newest set texts, An Artist of the Floating World, I realized this was very real, and it's a text that it's very interesting, and you're going to see the cover there. We've analyzed the text. We have My Golden Moments. My Golden Moments has gone through evaluation by KICD, and I want to appreciate you principals, because I was given a challenge by one of you, and I took it as a challenge. Being a PhD student at Daystar, a principal asked me in 2019, Madam, why can't you have these books evaluated by the KICD at your level? And I took it as a challenge. And I really appreciate, because it's been a journey, and very soon, maybe in the next 1 month or so, the book will be in the market. I'm only allowed to market it here. I'm not allowed to sell it until the last step, which they are working on right now. So I'm so grateful. I am an examiner, and I've worked with so many schools on how we can improve English in the schools, because that is the beacon of the performance in our schools. And let me say that we need to build confidence in our students. Now, we are here now dealing with the analysis. I've said My Golden Moments will be available as soon as I'm given permission by the KICD, but it's on the last step, which is ethical standards evaluation. So we are here for this book. You've seen this book. This is a text that is replacing the optional novel. We have evaluated. This was delivered to your schools as you are closing. We have done an evaluation of that, and the compulsory set text as well. And I can promise you, by the next time I stand here with this set text, I will have partnered with publishers, other publishers, and this is going to go a long way. So we have an offer today. You pick a set of 5 each, and you get 40% discount. For the orders, you can get 10 for each at 30% discount. And you find that at the KLB tent. The KLB tent, that is where we are. That is my number. Thank you very much. Ricky Rogers says that strength comes not from what we can do, but from overcoming the things you thought you can't do. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
When you come with things up here, they don't go with you. So God bless you. Thank you so much for the donation.
Thank you. All protocols observed. Good morning. Good morning, my good principals. Now, we want to run a raffle for Copycat. We have another machine on offer for today. And I want to believe that it is meant to benefit those who walked into this, the stall of Copycat. Now, those who have the tickets, kindly write your name behind the ticket. I have my people walking around picking them. Just leave them up, they will pick them, so that we can have a short time running the raffle and give a machine to somebody. Thank you.
Over to Lukenya.
Thank you very much, Kesha Chair and all the officials of this conference. Allow me to greet you this morning. Good morning. My name is Dr. Mwania. Dr. Mwania is the Registrar of Academic and Students Affairs at Lukenya University. Lukenya University is a private university located in Makueni. That's where our main campus is, at Mutitwande specifically. But we have a branch in Athi River where we have the Lukenya group of schools. Why am I here? I'm here purposely to talk to you principals and purposely to send you to your students. That we realize that there are so many students that don't realize that the government places students in both private and public universities nowadays. And they have a reason to sample out these universities. Because what we've realized is that we have some programs in private universities that students have got no access to, especially in public universities. And now that the results will be released anytime from today, you have an opportunity as parents of these children to promise them that they can sample out our university for some obvious reasons. One, Lukenya University will be able to assure all the students accommodation. We are the only university that gives students accommodation, whether government-sponsored or privately sponsored. That's one thing that we have been able to assure students. The other thing is that we can also assure students finishing their studies on record time. If a student is supposed to take a program for 2.5 calendar years, because we run trimester program, then they can easily be able to tell their graduation time. The other thing is that we are located in a very serene environment where students have got no interruptions, especially when they are doing their studies. We know the issues of peer pressure are likely to arise, especially for students who are attending classes in towns. We are in a very serene environment. Then finally, our charges are pocket friendly. In fact, we offer what we call work-study programs for our students. And we are so keen to identify even those students that are very needy, and we give them such kind of arrangement of work-study. They are working and they are still attending classes. And because if they are given small assignments like in the library, they can still be able to raise some good money that they can be able to undertake as they also attend their classes. For you principals, I've also a program for you. We have master's programs and PhD programs which are online. We are running an open and distance learning where you don't need to attend class physically. You can be able to attend classes at the comfort of your offices. So take this as an opportunity for you to attend classes. You can talk to me directly as the Registrar of Academics, and you can actually have my number for the purposes of just contacting me. I will be able to respond to your SMS and even your calls at whatever time that you are going to call me. You can pick my number so that you can talk to me directly. And my direct line is 0721 99 44 40. 0721 99 44 40 is my direct line. Connect me to your students, connect me to yourselves, and I will be able to serve you as the Registrar of Academics. Thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. 1 minute for our friends here as we invite KCB.
Principals, good morning. So my name is Abraham Mutuol, motivational speaker. I'm also a writer of several motivational books. So today in the morning, I have one title which I'm promoting. It's called 27 Inspiring Life Lessons from Nelson Mandela. And what I have to say is that leadership is a great resource in a school. Leadership is a great resource. I did research on Nelson Mandela for more than 10 years. And the question I was also always asking myself is, what made him to be a very successful political leader? And I was able to derive 27 lessons, which you as a principal in a school, you can also be able to use, implement, so that you can be able to take your school to a higher level. So the book also at only 500 shillings, and it can be able to make a big difference in your school. This book can be used by a principal, can be used by teachers, can also be used by students. So it's highly recommended. And then lastly, I have a motivational DVD on psychosocial support. It's on self-discipline, 1 hour presentation. You can just put it on your laptop and then you can project it on the wall and then the students can be able to listen. So thank you very much and blessed.
Thank you so much. The President Kesha, the delegate present, and the all protocol observed. Good morning. I am Simon Ndolombada from Jerek Sports Center. We do sports because that is the career for the sports. And once we are located at Ngara, Nairobi, opposite Jamhuri High School. We say thank you that we have come to you principals. We would like to come to your schools one-on-one, and that we will talk and do business with you. We are so grateful. May God bless you.
In front of you, guest is Jimmy Wambogo, the motivational speaker and team building coach. I have a good thing for you here. I have posters, as you can see, the goals of education, all of them to put in your office. The second one is assessment tools that are used in CBA, in CBA and CBC. The goal of a good teacher. Many teachers, they have been teachers for so many times, they don't remember their goal. I have another one here, the benefit of authentic assessment tools. And the last one, the core competence and core values. All these posters are to help your school and your people to understand the CBC in the simplicity. The package is going for 500 only. Kindly you can take your package. My phone number is 0726 244 940. 0726 244 940. And with the respect of my LC, kindly allow me to give our chairman the package because of a good work that he has done for us. Can we clap for him?
Thank you, Mr. Wambugu. We really appreciate. Sorry, we are rushing on time. We want our program to be sweet and short. So finally, we want to invite our title sponsor, KCB, and it's my humble chance to invite Mr. Robert Mushiri from KCB. Welcome. Let's put our hands together as we receive our final presenter on the sponsor category, our title sponsor, KCB. Karibu sana, just for 5 minutes. Thank you.
The chairman, the organizing committee, and the delegates, good morning. Good morning. I'm glad. My name is Robert Mushiri, KCB. And as the partner or the sponsor, we are glad this morning to do the wrap-up. We have had many others speaking, but today I'll be giving the climax, and I will be brief on my topic on the teachers' welfare groups in schools, because KCB is the partner. And I'll give a definition of what I refer investment group or welfare groups as to any collection of individuals, legal persons in any form, including societies, partnership companies, teachers, welfare groups, subordinate staff, objective, whose is pooling resources together for investment or welfare purposes. And these are the groups that we have in schools, both in private, both in public, and not only in schools, in our estates, in our families. These are very critical, and we are calling them investment groups in waiting. A good account that we have for these groups is what we call the good account. These are contractual account that we say that at every beginning of every year, when the members start contributing, we can agree with the contributors of the members that our goal is to raise this much money of 200,000 or $1 million, and the purpose for the period may be 6 months, 9 months, or 1 year. And at the end of the year, we'll be able to divide the money among the members. It can be for disabled party, it can be for investment for Christmas gifts. And the good thing with this account is a high interest earning. And at the end of the maturity period, the amount will be withdrawn and divided among the members, the subordinates, or the staff. And any remaining balance can be rolled over to the next period. It has a high interest of between 6 to 7% annually. The other account for the welfare groups is what we call Tungane. Current account is an account that every school or welfare can have. It has a checkbook whereby at the need of any withdrawal, you can be able to withdraw. There's money, and there's no ledger fees, and it has a free e-statement. And the good thing with this account is also that it can be used to borrow for investment. And we are seeing as KCB, most of the welfare groups in Kenya and elsewhere, they start with a social agenda, and later on they transform to an economic agenda, whereby they, as per their goals, they agree will be able to borrow for investment. And KCB, your partner, we are saying that these groups, we can be able to let them up to 10 times of their contributions, up to 250 million, payable in 6 years or more for investment purposes, because we'll be able to mentor these groups to be investment vehicles. The other thing on this account, we can be able to connect it to iBank, whereby the members can be able to access it through iBank, even for dividend payments or any other payments, that a free statement and transfer of money, including even to diaspora customer, because some of the welfare groups have members even out of the country. We have some model investment groups from teachers, and I'll quote about 2 or 3. One group that started as a welfare, there are about 30 members contributing about 10,000 per month. And in February last year, we met at Konza, whereby we are able to give them a title for their 7.8 acres. They were able to borrow about 9 million from KCB, and they added their money, and the cost was about 17 million. Currently, the value is about 45 million of that investment, and we are glad to celebrate with such a welfare group that started as a welfare, but transformed through mentorship through KCB. And I'm looking forward to do the same to the welfare groups in your schools, because we are just next as a neighbor. I have another group, those are lecturers in one of the universities who started as a welfare. They have identified a need in the community for hostels, and they have taken a loan of 20 million, and they have built a hostel for students, and currently they are also gaining income. They're also supporting the community in terms of the housing. How do we look at the welfare groups funding? We look at the banking, 6-month banking, and if the group didn't have an account with KCB, we look at the account history from the other bank, can be any of the Kenyan banks, including SACCOs, and how much we'll be able to give. We'll look at the number of members and the much they contribute, and look for a history of about 6 months, and we'll say 10 times of that much can be used to be able to finance the investment, and that's why we're thinking up to 250 million. But the good thing is that you can start small and scale it up to 250 million as the investment grows. We look at 90% of the monthly contribution as the ability of the group to pay. And the current interest is about 13% reducing, and 1.02% per month, and the current term is 72 months, but it is negotiable depending on the group opportunities. I'm almost concluding, and some of the investment that we support, purchase of land in different counties, purchase of property can be apartment, construction of commercial property, purchase of commercial vehicles, tractors, purchase of matatus, this PSV, less spec vehicles. Value addition can be in terms of milling or packaging of flour. And my last talks of why you came together, it's very important that you came together at the beginning, and keeping together being a progress, and then working together becomes your success. And the way forward, as KCB, we are open to support all the welfare groups in our schools, and I'm available together with our teams across the country in our 210 branches countrywide, and all the others are out of the country. That's my number. My name is Robert Mushiri. That's my number. There's a Kalia. Call me. I'll be able to come. We visit those groups, and even the staff meeting, invite us. We'll be able to mentor and speak to the groups without any charge. Can be over the weekend, Sundays, and there will be no charge. We'll be able to give you how you can benefit as a welfare group, and how the bank can be of help and a partner with you. God bless you, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, KCB. You can go ahead and receive your gift. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's stand up as we receive the chairman. Kindly let's stand up and receive the chairman. Let's all be upstanding kindly. I request we all stand. Then I will make a final announcement. If you can see an empty chair in front of you, why don't we kindly move, because we are looking like a stretched congregation. Let's move forward as chairman takes over. Kindly, the people up there, let's move and have a good congregation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's have a seat. And as he has said, please, let's occupy the front seats so that hizi zisibaki pengo sana. Thank you very much, Ken. Ken Gomere has been our master of ceremony. He has also been in charge of the sound system, the lighting system, from day one up to date. All those screens, they are all under him. He goes under the name Raise Your Game. So, and we have been with him from last time when we were in Kesra with the big doom tent. And we want to wish you well, and thank you very much for the work you've done for us. I think we have been able to follow this conference from every corner, whether you are in the stretched tents outside or in the exhibition, we've followed it. I want to welcome you to the last day of our conference, and I want to thank all of you who are still here with us, and ask those who are out there to come in, because any time now our chair, Teacher Service Commission, will be walking in. We have our two presenters who are here with us, and we want to appreciate their being patient. As I said yesterday, and I would like to say this again, and I will say it again later, that as principals we have to set direction, and we should be able to follow instructions. I've been able to grant an interview. I've accepted to grant an interview tomorrow on Monday at 10 p.m. at Citizen TV to address the issue of school uniform and costs. And you see, I will be putting myself in line of fire on your behalf. I still want to appeal to you. When we get back, look at our admission letters. If there is something, I said it yesterday, if there is something that you've put there that is making the cost of acquisition of uniform a challenge to parents, if there is something you've done, you know we know ourselves what we have done. But if in your conscience there's something you've done that is part of what is causing the noise, go back and remove it. Let us allow the children of this nation to be able to attend school. Where there are other issues, we raise them, and we are capable of raising them and raising them diplomatically, without allowing too much noise to the level that people, when they see principals, they see people who are inhuman, though they are carrying a human face, but they are animals. And I believe we are not. We are not. And we are capable of doing better. So that is my appeal. And please, let us share it and correct. In 2018, ladies and gentlemen, when we were just beginning the issue of TPAD, we were all confused, and TSC was training people before they understood. One person, one of our colleagues, got it very fast, and he was able to move around, training other principals on the issue of TPAD. Kesha appointed him as a Kesha ambassador on TPAD and other Kesha programs. As he moved on, he decided now teachers are on TPAD. But these students are not being made to also account for their own performance. So he introduced what he calls the STPAD, Students' Performance Appraisal and Development. So while teachers have the Teachers' Performance Appraisal and Development, students also have theirs. I want to give him 2 minutes, and I'll be standing here. Mr. Njenga, standing behind me, has been a principal in Nakuru, and he's now a retired general, but matters educations don't retire. 2 minutes, come and talk about STPAD, and then we launch your book.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, as the Chairman says, my name is Jenga, and I want to say for sure we have our TPAD that more or less worked for us to some extent. We discovered there is a gap in the process where the students were not involved. As per the TSC TPAD Evaluation Report 2020-21 that was done by Nairobi University, it said how much teachers are now in class and how they are not missing lessons. The question is, what about students? I want to say this, we have a new generation called Generation Z, who are very different from us. And this generation want to feel in charge of their destiny. You must involve your students when making decisions. One, if you see a kind of a reaction they do, when you come up with suggestions, you realize that when they see that a staff meeting came up with suggestions to perform, generally they become negative. Involve them. Now, what is our main objective? It is to increase the student retention, how much they can retain after teaching. CBC does the same, retention. For them to retain more, they must be involved in terms of communicating the same skills. One, this generation, as you may see from the script there, is like they attack a tiger, and then when things go bad, they feel disadvantaged. What do? We make sure that our students are structured in a military style. The one in charge of the subject is called captain, because the discipline you have in the military may be borrowed again to the classroom. The other one is burnout, the law of diminishing return. For those who have done economics, they say, if you don't change the way you produce your goods, use the same method, the more you spend, the less you get. The more you teach, the more they fail. Why? Because they're not involved. SPAD brings in the parents also under SWOT analysis. Academic day, let the learner and the parents sign up SWOT performance appraisals. Then there is what we call performance contract. The weakness, their strength. Some of these weaknesses in our children are genetically inherited. Who is the best person to remove this weakness? The parents themselves. In every academic meeting, make sure they sign what we call a performance contract by going through SWOT analysis. Finally, when you involve the students, they own up the process. This is what we call the current generation. We must do things differently. for us to get new results. Thank you, Chairman, for the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Before you go, you cannot just talk about this book and we, as a Kesha ambassador, and we continue using him to educate our people, allow me to formally launch this book, the STPAD, the SPAD, Students' Performance Appraisal and Development. And maybe ask our Director Quality TSC has just walked out. Maybe Director Mumin, please come and pick these copies for him to also go and analyze, make comments for purposes of improving it for future. Let's clap for Director as he comes in. Yes. Thank you. Give him at least 2. Thank you. Before I call the chair Laikipia, in our midst we've had our international guests. Allow me to ask the Vice President of SCP, Mr. Welcome, to just come and say jambo on behalf of the 3 international guests who are here. One has traveled back, but we still have 2. I think it will not be fair for him to be here. Then after that, Chair Laikipia will be ushering in Dr. Ngunjiri of Heri Medical Services. Heri Medical Services provide medical services to schools. During Corona period, they served in very many schools, including our school, where they provided health services 24 hours to the students, staff, and non-teaching staff, and their families. And none of our students would leave school. So we would have clinical officers, nurses available. So they'll be talking more on how we can do it at school level, modeled on what the old national schools used to have, the sanatoriums in school, and I still advocate that is one way we need to go in order to manage the health of our students in school, coupled with, of course, the Edu Afia.
I just want to greet you, colleagues, and also to appreciate you for putting together such a wonderful, productive, and very effective discussion and deliberations for the past 5 days. We are very much appreciative to have been invited to be a part of this great conference, and we are sharing notes because we are Africa. Our motto is creating bridges or educational bridges across Africa. So we want to share experiences, share notes on what we do, because we believe Africa is one and we must grow together. From all the presentations that have been made here, we have really gained a lot, and we are going to share with our brothers and sisters in the continent. I want to thank the Ministry of Education here, the Teacher Service Commission, and all those that have presented here. They have really presented something that has been eye-opening to all of us, and we believe it is going to help our education systems as we go back home. We are very much grateful for everything, and we will so much appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, and we are going to work around. We will ensure that the date, Mr. Welcome, we will ensure that the date coincides with our holiday so that we can come in large numbers. Thank you very much. I want to call Mr. Owori. Come and pick a raffle here very quickly. Close your eyes. I don't want you to check inside. Close your eyes. Yes. Koroga, koroga, alafu okota moja. Sawa. The winner is Chakua Mukua. Riomego SDA, Nyamira County. Telephone number 0723-525-764. Where are you? Come and record with them. He's a winner. Announce the prize.
He is a winner of digital duplicator EZ201. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Copycat, that is the second machine that has been won by two of our principals. That is the beauty of attending the conference up to the last day. I call in the chair Laikipia now to chair the next session, which we have given about 20 minutes. And then the chair Isiolo will be chairing the next session. I'm sure by the time we finish that one, our guest of honor today will have arrived. Thank you and welcome again.
Our chairman, Kesha, our seniors from the TAC and the ministry, our sponsors, principals, all protocols observed, good morning. I am Mwangi BM from Laikipia, as told by the chairman, and I'm here as the session chair for this session, which is on provision of health services in schools in this era of education. Our presenter is already with us, and he comes in from an organization known as Harry Healthcare Consultants. They consult in health financing with the counties. They also do corporate risk management. One of the core areas that concerns us is that they are involved in setting up health medical centers in schools, which they have done in a number of schools in Kenya. And they also set healthcare centers for private or medical private institutions. Mr. Ngojiri is the CEO of this organization, and he is our presenter today. He is trained in financial analysis as a company secretary and an accountant. He has an MBA from the University of Nairobi in information systems. Maybe you may question how this training comes into health, and that is the same question I had, and he tells me, as an accountant, you have the chance to work with very many organizations and therefore interact with so many others. He has also worked with insurance companies like APA and Madison at a senior level. On the personal level, Mr. Ngojiri is married, one wife, and the father of many children. Let us put our hands together and welcome Mr. Ngojiri. Let's give him a clap.
Thank you, Bwana Mwangi. I thought that he would say that we share a county, but I noticed that he decided to avoid that. So I'm also from Laikipia County. I guess it was all by coincidence. I'm here to discuss a topic that I'm very passionate about. First, not only because I'm a parent and you can see the many children that he referred to, but because here we are discussing a matter that affects us as a nation and also affects us going forward. And whatever legacy we can give as principals of various schools will be dependent mainly on the type of people that we create from here. And first, before I would like to take you through the introduction in terms of what I'm going to be looking at. I'll be very brief in certain matters, but there are others that I will delve in a little bit more. So we look at what is health, keeping in mind I'm not here to really sell a product or a service. I'm here dealing with the topic of rekindling provision of health services in the schools, given post-COVID and also what we would have done even before COVID. We'll be looking at the health management framework because there is a legal framework within which we operate. We look at the current approaches, and then after that we'll look at what the outcomes have been and how we can be able to create a health promoting institution. And okay, also to help the principal in understanding where do I start. And first things first, we first define what is health. And health here we're looking at not just the absence of disease and infirmities, but we're looking at the complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. That is how the World Health Organization defines health. And we had the definition yesterday. And here at home, the Ministry of Health adopts the same kind of definition. It defines health as the general social well-being or physical and mental well-being of an individual. And that's an important thing. But closer home, and the reason as to why we're having this conversation is how does the national school policy define health? And in the definition there, we have an additional item that comes on board for schools, and that is spirituality. So we find that we have a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, just not merely absence of the disease and infirmity as the definition for health according to the National School Health Policy. And this is one of the things that we as principals are expected to uphold and to live by in our institutions. Before I go into the issues of why we have to think about this, I would like us to also, I would refer to two quotations that we have under the World Health Organization program that deals with the health for the adolescents, what they call the second decade in life. Because the first decade, there's quite a bit of activity that goes into it, but on the second decade, that is between the age of 10 and 19, where most of these people are living with us as principals, there's a bit of some activity that does not happen. And so World Health Organization has come to the realization that education is the key sector because you'll provide the skills that will be helpful to the students as they go forward in their lives, and also at times you can provide the health services. And this will positively contribute to the physical and mental health of the second decade of an individual's life. And that is why this topic, even when I was told to deal with it, I felt like it was very timely for us as principals to start thinking along those lines. Then the second comment or quote from the World Health Organization is that we have to go beyond the issues of adolescent pregnancy, because I think that is what we have most, and HIV being addressed at this age, to skills and knowledge, and also to the access of health services. So there is those two quotations in terms of management of the adolescent health in the world that globally many institutions or schools and colleges are encouraged to actually look at. And just to end on the global stage, because it's good to benchmark, there is this report that I would like to draw your attention to. The report is on the Global School Health Initiatives, Achieving Health and Education Outcomes Together. Because the World Health Organization also emphasizes that you cannot keep any out of them. It is the two sides of a coin, education and health, and especially during this decade. And if you look at the various countries in the world, we have the high-income ones, we have the upper middle-income countries, we have the lower-income countries like Kenya, and also the lower middle income, like Kenya, and the lower income countries, like other countries. We need not necessarily mention them here. First, we appreciate that the legal framework and the infrastructure that is supposed to be there to help people in terms of management of health exists. And even here in Kenya, I would like to look at maybe some of the issues that we have, or some of the directives that create the framework within which we as principals are expected to operate. But before then, the question that we want to ask ourselves is, and as we chose, this topic was being chosen, is why do we need to rekindle the health management in schools? And I'm all aware about what happened last year. Health is a showstopper. I digress a bit. In 2007, 2009, there was the world financial crisis. Big corporates like the Lehman Brothers went under. And when you look at them, probably they also had more revenue, like I had the other time, more revenue than our country in terms of our GDP and whatever their revenues were. But they went under, and what happened? The world continued. The world moved on. But then there is this friend of ours from Wuhan who came around, and we all ran back into our houses. Everything came to a standstill. So we cannot underestimate the impact of health in our world. It's a showstopper. It didn't matter whoever you were, it didn't matter your GDPs, it didn't matter anything. And who was affected most? We realized that the children, especially in this part of the world, many of them were affected. Schools were closed for a long period of time because of this matter health. And so we can't ignore it and wish it away. And it would be good for us to rekindle, to go back to where we were and get things done properly within the health space. Besides it being a showstopper, I think we need to appreciate that health, one of the other reasons as to why we as principals we've got to think about this issue is because of the moral aspects to it. I give you my girl, beautiful as she is. I'm sure you can see her there in her white dress and everything else. And she knows that she's a girl. By the end of the 4 years, she doesn't know whether she's a girl. She doesn't know where she belongs because of issues that have transpired within the school. And then we have to really take it upon ourselves to realize that morally we are obliged to make sure that matters of sexuality are handled correctly. We are obliged to think that matters of substance abuse, drugs and alcohol are dealt with in the moral way, and even issues to do with pornography and many other things that we can think about. So besides the moral issues, there is also the ethical aspects of our well-being. Say, for example, when I'm going through the procurement process to get the maize or the rice or whatever food it is that I'm buying for the students, what really is my motivation? I had our president here talk about our conscience, imploring on us to use our conscience and to really try and be good in terms of whatever it is that we do. So ethical issues are those issues that we need to deal with. And they have an impact on the health of the student or our children this age as they go forward. So this is also another reason that would make me as a principal think through and ask myself, what exactly is it that I'm doing that is going to be affecting these students of mine later in life while I'm trying to achieve other objectives that could be secondary. And we said health is first. So other objectives we know are secondary, truly secondary. Then the other thing is the inherent risks of ignoring the issues of health. And we have seen them. We ignored a bit of mental health, school fires. We ignore, I don't know what else, nutrition. We have obese kids, especially in those urban areas. We can ignore matters of health, and then we have issues of physical pain, we have issues of damaged properties, and we have issues of disruption of school programs and many other things that come with it. So if we want to actually be safe or to manage the risks as we have mentioned, then we've got to be alive to this thing, and we have to take matters of health very seriously in our schools. The other thing that should be a motivation for us to rekindle the management of health in schools are the legal aspects. I'm sure as principals you are aware that there is quite a bit, and I have seen even those documentation while I was coming in out there, talking about how to manage a school. Maybe if I had more time I would have asked you, you normally are in which business? Because you have learners need accommodation, learners need to be transported, so you have to do construction, you have to do buses, you have to do all manner of things. So a school is really holistic in terms of taking care of an individual. And because of that, then you find yourself having to get involved as a principal in so many aspects of life of an individual. And so those aspects of life are governed within the country in a legal framework. Let me dwell a little bit more onto it. First, we have the Kenyan Constitution that talks about it. We also have our Vision 2030 that also talks about the framework within which we set up our strategic plans, and these are documents that are helpful for us to look at. We also have legislation and other legal instruments. Kenya is a signatory to some world treaties, that, and especially 3 of them, which in the interest of time I may not mention them here, but these are things that we have to keep at the back of our mind as we go to manage our health. We also have, and in total there are about 17 legally binding documents that you have that help to govern the health and safety aspects of the school. Under the Basic Education Act, and this I'll just take out 2 points, the Cabinet Secretary is required to prescribe the minimum standards. And the minimum standards are prescribed through certain documents. So we'll look at 1 or 2 documents thereafter. But before that, I also want to bring in myself now, and on behalf of the parents, because we have a tendency, and I think that is the notion that has been passed to us as Kenyans, that health is a social service that is supposed to be provided by the government. True, and I don't deny. But on the other hand, the government may not be able, given the size of our economy, to cater for everybody. And so that is recognized in our Education Act, whereby one of the functions, and you can check on the 3rd schedule of the Education Act, the Parent Teachers Association is required to promote quality care, nutrition, and health status of the pupils. So the legal framework does exist. And with that, the Cabinet Secretary has offered the guidelines that we are supposed to follow, so that then we are able to achieve whatever it is that is desired in terms of achieving better healthcare management in the schools. 2 of the policies that are very critical and for which we need to think about is the National School Health Management Policy. First, it was in 2009, then the latest edition we have is 2018, and if you look at the similarities between what we had in 2018 and even when COVID came around and we had these guidelines in 2019, the one for COVID 2019 pandemic, the differences is very small. That means that had we effectively implemented the National School Health Policy that had been drafted in 2018 and previously in 2009 as a joint project of the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education, probably our closure for school should not have been more than 3 months. But we ended up closing for a fairly long period of time with all the challenges that came with it. To assist you in terms of even implementing this policy, the Cabinet Secretary through the ministries have gone a step further and created what they call the Comprehensive School Health Program. And there are all those 8 issues that you are supposed to deal with under the Comprehensive Health School Program. So generally we can say as a country, we have the legal framework and we have the way in which we have implemented it within the country, and we should all be feeling that we are well supported. What happens is that when we start off as schools, the way we handle this matter currently, the current approaches is that schools have sanatoriums, they also have, some have a clinic. I've visited quite a number of them, so I have seen a school with a clinic. Some have sick bays, others have infirmaries, others have hearing rooms and hearing centers, and others have health rooms. These ones, some of them are manned by qualified community registered nurses or nurse aides. And we also have schools that have first aid boxes only as the means to manage the health. And these ones, they are manned either by a health teacher or matrons. The question that I would want to pose at this point in time is this. When we want as principals to construct a building, what do? Do we train a teacher for 3 weeks or even a month to become a fundi or to become an architect and tell them to design and tell them to run with the construction of the school hall? That does not happen. If I, for example, am a principal of XYZ high school and I need my children to travel to Mombasa for a trip from up country, what happens? Do I pick on a teacher, train them for 2 weeks, put the teacher on the bus, and tell the teacher to take the kids to Mombasa? That does not happen. So then why does it happen when it is such an important matter called health, whereby now you want to train a Kiswahili teacher to sit down and start being the teacher who takes care of accidents in schools, who takes care of issues of health? Remember, in medicine, there is the golden hour. Yes, I could be having my insurance cover that can take me to the best hospital in the world. But between the time the incident has happened and the time I get to that hospital, I need some care. And that can determine death or life. And this happens all the time. And so we as schools, I think, and why I said this topic was very appropriate, we need to rethink how we do our health care. And who is this person who is handling my health care? Because by doing that, then we can see what the outcomes have been. And the outcomes, I don't want to enumerate the statistics of what has happened in the country. We are all aware of them. But maybe the question is, why do we still have such challenges? Why do we have suicides? Why do we have fires? Why do we have injuries? Why do we have deaths happening in school? I know a school where I know of a school where deaths have happened in schools. So why do these things happen, even while the legal framework exists? I think it is it is time for us to just say enough is enough. And the reason as to why I'm asking the second question, how many undesirable outcomes do we want? How many lives must be lost? How many schools must go up in fire? You know, there are all manner of things. And even if those don't happen, how many addicts are we going to have? So that then we can say we need to take this matter seriously. I just want to take maybe two of the issues that are quite important and relevant for us as as people who deal with teenage health or the second decade. And first is the issue of the experimentation with sex. We know all the issues that they are with that one. But yesterday we had a good conversation about the mental health challenges. I know of that school, and we remember that girl of ours who has been jailed for 5 years, courtesy of a mental health challenge, or an issue that could have been dealt with differently. We better remember that in this mental health space, it's a continuum. Those ones who are, we all tend to journey towards becoming ill, depending on the issues that we deal with. And so if this is not dealt with properly, then we would have challenges. And having talked about all these things, and given that my time is up, I would want to deal with the issue of how do we create a health-promoting school. And a health-promoting school is one that provides and continuously, the word here is continuously, improves the health and safety environment within which the learners operate. So that is a word that I would like you to keep in mind, that is one of the things that we should be trying to achieve, looking at the future. And this school that promotes health has 6 characteristics. One is that it engages all stakeholders. Please don't leave your parents behind. This is a matter that you need to have it discussed. We've seen it under the Education Act, we needed discussed with the parents. And for the few schools that we as Heli Healthcare have gone to, we have had presentations to the parent to make them get to appreciate why health is important. The other thing is that then you have to endeavor to provide the service within the school, within certain parameters. We cannot just live on the edge of first aid only. We've got to move to the next step, because that is what will help us in terms of improving safety, bringing peace of mind in schools, getting the Kiswahili teacher who is a health teacher focus on Kiswahili and forget about the matters of health and things like those ones. The other thing is that we've got to implement both internal and external policies. We have the external policies that we have been given. We are supposed to create health committees in our schools. Do we have them? Are they operating? Are we implementing the policies that these people are coming up with? Then the other characteristic would be it has to improve the welfare, the health of the students, the workers, the families. How do you improve the health of the families? Mental health challenges are not only for the student. Most of the time, the kids that we bring to you are already wrecked, because we know how the families are. There are challenges at home. These challenges at home, economic challenges, you know, separated parents, and all many other issues that we are dealing with. So by the time the child comes to you, this is probably the only place that they can have a bit of peace. At times you could have, as we had yesterday, the bad boys and girls are left in school, and the fellow who had a mental challenge is chased away or sent away from school. Eventually, what does that, what kind of a citizen does the person become? Then the school should also endeavor to provide a system. It's a continuum, and it has to be continuous. The system is not a one-time thing. Then we have to provide adequate resources. With that, then, I would like to propose what we would call a kind of a model that you can use. And this is the model that we help you to come up with as a school, where you deal with curative services. The health of the child is in the center. Then we look at preventative services. I'm not going to go down through them. We also deal with issues of chronic condition. We have hypertension and all those other conditions that we have, diabetes and the others among the learners, especially during this decade. Safety measures, fire drills, you know, first aid, fleet management. When was the last time your driver was checked their eyesight? You know, those kind of issues. Then we have the family and community for support and policy. And then we have the healthcare coordination, which is also very important. How do these people go to the hospital when you want them to go to the hospital? So then the question is, where do I start as a principal? First, you do a health and safety audit. That is conducting a situation analysis, put a plan together, and then execute the plan. Thank you very much. I think, I hope I have managed to convince you that the health in the second decade is very important, and we cannot ignore it as principals, because they are the ones who are charged with the responsibility of dealing with this health during the second decade of a person's life. Thank you very much, and I wish you well. For those who will be journeying back to the various destinations, may journey mercies accompany you. Asanteni sana.
I think the health people have a lot to tell us. The Heri Center has a tent within this compound, and you can consult them for more. They have more for us as schools and as managers and principals who actually run some of the big schools that could be actually having a clientele larger than the health service or health center. We would want to appreciate him by giving him 5 factorial. Allow me to finish up. And let us start one. Asante sana. Karibu our Vice Chair.
Thank you, our presenter. think that's a very educative speech, and we are grateful for the same. Now, our guests, my colleagues,
that is going to be presented by the Principal Secretary, State Department of curriculum-based, competence-based curriculum, who is Professor Fatuma Chege. Professor Fatuma Chege is a household name. Many of us have heard of this name. She's a professor of education, having served and first trained as a teacher and has the experience of teaching at all levels of education, from primary education, secondary education, and teacher training. She has had vast experience in teaching at all levels until she was appointed the Principal Secretary last year to chair the CPC implementation. It is my humble pleasure to invite the peers, whom from her CV, you will note that she has all it takes to head this department of CBC implementation. Karibu, Professor, and take us through the CBC implementation, which many of us are yet to embrace because we have not gone through the training to understand it fully. So I want to believe that Professor will be able to open the floor and make us understand better about CBC. Welcome, Professor.
Good morning, everybody. Bari asubuhi. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, we have to have peace, eh? Yes, I was just whispering to ask how much time I have, because as a teacher, I wouldn't want to stand with somebody else next to me. And even the supervisors who are supervising us, they were standing aside. Yes, first of all, let me begin by appreciating having been invited to this very important conference, and to say that it's not the first time I have been invited here. I think in 2016 I was here, and therefore I feel privileged to be part and parcel of this conference amongst colleagues and friends. I was given a topic that has to do with the transitions, and I can see that the transitions are actually mentioned in plural. So we are not talking of one transition, we are talking of transitions. I think from the word go, it's important that we hold onto that and ask ourselves, what are we talking about if we are talking about transitions? The chair of the conference, Mr. Kahi Indimuli, who I fondly refer to as Mwalimu. I don't call him anything else, ni Mwalimu. And I learned with some experience, having stayed in Japan for a while, that sensei, which means teacher, is a really, really important title. Whether you are teaching the university, whether you are teaching in pre-primary, at whatever level, you are referred to as sensei.
Sensei Mwalimu. Nobody calls you Professor or Mr. H. Sensei. So Sensei Kahindimuli, thank you very much for this particular opportunity. I always do this, as I have been introduced, that I'm a trained teacher. I have my TSC number, which I'll not share with you because some of you might go into shock and think I'm very, very old. I'm not very old, but I have a TSC number. And therefore, when teachers speak, we speak the same language. The theme of this conference, Re-examining Our Future Together, an Era of Education in Kenya, is very, very relevant to our State Department. This is a State Department that can only thrive when we think and plan and implement together. The curriculum reforms implementation is not a one-person show. It's a collaborative effort. And therefore, when I saw this theme, I was excited because this is what we do. We have a vision at that State Department for holistic, quality, inclusive training and research for sustainable futures. And also a mission that goes with it, a mission that has been derived from the functions that were given to that State Department from the Office of the President, which is to promote and coordinate curriculum reforms implementation for equitable learner-centered education and training. I need to put the topic of transitions within a context, and that is the context that brought to birth that State Department of Implementation of Curriculum Reforms. The reforms go very far back to 2005, and they are captured in the Vision 2030 of 2008. So those people who say that these reforms are being pushed down people's throats is not true, but I want to just bring it forward to the context of the task force, which I was privileged to chair. In 2019, when the Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor Magoha, who was here on the opening day, appointed a very high-powered task force whose overall mandate was to advise him on issues, policies, strategies that the education sector needed to address in order to enhance access, relevance, transitions, equity, and quality for effective implementation. And I have been asked to talk about one of them, which is transition. In that high-powered task force, you were very, very strongly represented by none other than your chair here, Mwalimu Indimuli, who occasionally would take us through your anthem. You know, after a hard day's job, we would be singing the anthem that you are seeing here on the first day, and we would dance around there. So it made my life very, very easy. As their chair, I felt I was a leader among equals. Actually, all of them could have been chairing that committee, but I was privileged to chair. And when I look at this hall here, I am seeing members who were in that task force. I can see TSC represented here, and I can see the secretariat, which Professor Magoha allowed to support me. I have 3 of them here, and I know there are many others who are here. So you were very well represented. The issues of secondary school and the transitions that I have been asked to talk to were being deliberated when stakeholders were actually there. We had Kesha for the primary, where the transition begins. We had Kise, because we have special needs education. They also, under our constitution, are entitled to go through the CBC and the CBA according to their abilities. We had universities represented there, almost overrepresented. So when I see some people saying that university don't know what they are supposed to do in the CBC, it's not true. We had several of them represented there. MOE, religious organizations of different faiths were actually there. Christians and Muslims were represented there, and various other interest groups which I shall not go into. And I'm just saying this that so that we understand. I have heard the moderator of this session saying you don't know about CBC. CBC mulikuwa huko ndani, and we need to have confidence looking at who was in that task force. Now that task force was completed and submitted in 2020 after 18 months of working day and night. And your chair can bear me witness. And we came out with recommendations from 15 key areas, and not asking ourselves whether transition will happen or whether teacher training will happen, but we addressed those 15 areas, and our recommendations was on how the implementation can be done effectively and efficiently. We were not asking what it is. It has already been decided, piloted, and was going on. But the minister wanted the how. How do you do it effectively and efficiently? So when we look at these transitions, we have to remember that they are within that task force, which the report the president launched in February 2021. That launch is really important for us to understand, because you are implicated as secondary school principals in the transitions. The president talked about the transition to junior secondary school. So I cannot talk about these transitions without bringing him on board. Now, what the president did when launching that report in February 2021, he started with the very initial recommendations that we had made. Where do we put the junior secondary? Munakumbuka hiyo debate? That's the debate everywhere I go, even to those containers where I was meeting many of the principals that I'm seeing. It was my first time to be at the containers, but the question would still come up, and I would wonder, why is it coming up and it has already been spoken to? The president was very clear. Secondary school would need to be domiciled where? Amjui? Alisema in the secondary subsector. Junior secondary is an education of the secondary school. So he was very clear on that. But now we have some confusion that is brought in about domiciling junior secondary in the secondary school subsector with other two terminologies. One of them is what? Munasikiaga nini? Ati it will be hosted. That is a different terminology representing a different concept. Others say ati it will be hosted in the primary. So what is important is that the domiciling is in the secondary school. And I want to say this, and I have said it elsewhere. If I accommodate you in my house, Bwana Ndamburi, Dr. Ndamburi, if I accommodate you, do you belong to my household? Not at all. If I accommodate you, it means you are a guest. You will go at some point. If I host you, are you going to become part of my household? Autakuwa, it means utakwenda. I know many of you are accommodated in hotels, including myself. I am checking out tomorrow early morning. I am not domiciled in that hotel. So I am just hoping, because I'm speaking to the principals, within whose schools junior secondary will be domiciled. You should be part and parcel of enlightening others because you are leaders. Na tunasema leadership is about people. It's about communicating and persuading people, which is different from managing them, because managing, we can manage money, we can manage other resources, but for human beings, we are leaders as principals. So I am hoping that now you are joining that, you will be part of the light. Domiciling has a legal implication. You are domiciled in the subsector. Now, hosting will happen if necessary. Like, for example, I am a pioneer teacher of St. George's Secondary in Nairobi, which we started as a day mixed school. We were hosted in the primary school under the same name, St. George's. So we had some makeshift buildings. We were hosted, accommodated there. However, we were a secondary school in the secondary school sub-sector. And it was very, very difficult relationship between primary head and secondary principal. Until one time, because St. George's borders State House, President Moi used to pass there very often. And because I was a music teacher, nilikuwa na shida nyingi sana. Akipita, watoto wanatoa shida, ati, oh, we haven't eaten meat, I don't know what, anasema lunch on Friday. As a music teacher, it meant nianze kutengeneza ngoma za kwenda kula nyama huko na kudance. But he actually picked the tension between the primary and ourselves as guests hosted there. And one day he came and said, I have asked Justice Okubasu, who was neighboring the school, he had a 3-story building house, his home, official home, to move out and use St. George's Secondary, you will go there. So now we went into that house, we were hosted there, and we left the primary, but we were sharing all other resources. I'm just trying to clarify. When the president says domicile, it means for all intent and purposes, you belong to the secondary school sector, your management with a principal and everything that goes on there, the BOM. So I'm just hoping hakuna mtu ambaye yuko na doubt about that domiciling and that you shall not be part and parcel of that confusion. Now, when the president did that and launched that report, in his own wisdom, he also announced, with these recommendations, I am establishing a state department for implementation of curriculum reforms. And I say in his wisdom, because after that there were many debates, oh, that state department will overlap with KICD, and I tell people, what does KICD mean? Those abbreviations. Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. Na ni watu wanajua kizungu tu wanaongea hivyo. This one is State Department of Implementation of Curriculum Reforms in plural. These reforms start from early childhood to primary through the transitions to secondary to the tertiaries, including universities. Lazima wawe CBC compliant, assessing their students continuously, competency-based assessment, which is different from what we have been doing and what we were announcing the other day. It's different. That by the time the child is transitioning from primary to junior secondary, that learner will have been assessed several times in grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, and the teachers, in collaboration with NEC, will be doing that, and their results uploaded in the NEC portal. By the time they are finishing grade 6, they will have accumulated something 60% out of an expected 100. At the transition point, then a national assessment to give us a feel of how that cohort is performing, to give them 100. And therefore, the issues of do or die on an examination after 8 years has been eased out. You find young girls in the ward giving birth, na mtihani iko hapo. You are aware of these things, isn't it? By the time that happened, atakuwa hata something out of 60%. It's not a do or die. And some of the girls are saying, staki kurudia, I want to do the examination now. So that issue of that transition and domiciling in secondary school is based on something that is historical. And when the head of state, the one who spoke here the day before, he is clearly following a vision of this country, which we call vision what? Si munaijua? Vision? Bas. Now that vision 2030, other countries like Zimbabwe, Waswati, they all have their visions. Si wako nazo? Vision 20-something, isn't it? It is important for us to understand that a nation's vision has only one carrier. Mtu mmoja ndio anabeba vision. I know in your schools you also have visions. When I visit, I see vision, mission. Is there anyone here who doesn't have a mission and vision in the school? Iko. Bas. If you have a vision, you as the principal are the carrier of that vision. It cannot be inconsistent with the vision of the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education can't have a vision inconsistent with the nation's vision. The nation one is carried by the sitting president. Whoever president is there, it is responsibility to carry that vision. So whatever they do, they are interpreting and pushing forward the vision. And ourselves, the ministers are the process owners. Ministry of Education is a process owner of implementing education. And for us, as State Department officers, I am in one State Department, there are others, my colleagues, 4 of them. We support that process owner to implement what the president is carrying as a vision. So I thought that is really, really important. Now, as I move down on these transitions, it is really important that we understand the overall mandate of the State Department, where we are also overseeing these transitions. Now, the overall mandate is derived from 12 functions that were given this state office. And that overall mandate is to oversee and coordinate harmonious implementation of the competency-based curriculum at all levels of education, beginning from pre-primary, going through primary, secondary, tertiary education, including universities. One of the things that the president said when launching that report is that within those functions, we must make sure as a department that we work with the Teachers Service Commission. That was repeated twice in the president's statement, that we must work with the Teachers Service Commission to ensure that teachers get continued comprehensive training in the implementation of the competency-based curriculum. And I want to reveal to you that we are doing exactly that in the State Department, because we can't work alone. We are thinking and working together, as this conference is saying. we have a multi-agency technical committee where the TSC is a member. All the state departments in the Ministry of Education are members. They send their representative. You saw Ambassador Nabukwesi here of University Education. Ambassador sent a member there. And I always remind him, when I explained to him our mandate, and I told him I would like a representative to come and understand what these reforms are about and how university is implicated, the ambassador told me now to write, so I asked for one person. Instead of sending one person, he sent 3. So I told him, now you are overdoing. We only need 1. So you know what that does? It just inspires me that here is the university which people are talking about out there, saying that university are waiting, they don't know the CBC. You see their leader doing that. The Commission for University Education organized for our State Department to induct all principals or vice chancellors of public universities so that they understand what is happening in the basic education. Those graduates will transition to the university, and to understand that there are implications for their curriculum. There are implications of their assessment. And I was telling the vice chancellors, the nature of a university is not to sit back there and wait for the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to go and tell universities what to do. In any case, KICD depends on the human resource from universities to go there and help develop the curriculum. So we made that one very, very clear. It's not the nature of university to sit back and moan. It is for them to look out there and say what's happening, and therefore what do we need to do. The same Commission for University Education organized a session for us to induct the private universities' vice chancellors. So we did that, and they are happy. Like now, this coming Monday, I will be back here to talk to the Senate of Embu universities. The universities are very busy because the senates are they are the ones who endorse curricula in the universities, and they want to know how they can migrate their programs to CBC so that when the transition comes in 2029, it will not get them by surprise or give the students a shock. And it's not just Embu, my very own KU is in there, University of Nairobi, we have these appointments. There are so many that are doing that, and we feel this is the right thing to do. The other major mandate to enable this transition to happen smoothly is, and we have to work with the Teacher Service Commission again, was on the issue of sharing resources. That was pronounced by the President in his wisdom. And his thinking, when we interpreted, is that this country has institutions with many good resources, infrastructure, facilities that are established using public funds. And when I say public funds, public is not anybody else. It is you and me. Our taxes are actually there. I remember when I was in primary school many years ago again, which I won't mention, there were like 4, 5 primary schools within the vicinity. There was the Muslim primary, Catholic, Consolata Catholic Mission School, which I attended, Presbyterian, Temple Road, Waindiuko. However, in between all those was a big field. And when I look back, I think they used to make a timetable because there was a day my school now would occupy that field. The next day you find the other school, and the president said you must explore sharing of resources and infrastructure built with public funds. And we have gone round and we have seen exactly what he meant. Because you find a school, they are mourning, oh, hatuna uwanja wa mpira, but next door is a high school, a public one, with a field. So the sharing of resources was something that we were told to explore to ensure that there are no hitches when we are talking of transition. Because when he talked about transitioning junior secondary to the secondary subsector, the main buzz in this country, the debate, oh, it is very expensive, it will be very, very expensive. We have to build what? Labs, we have to build classrooms. People even calculated 70,000 if there will be, they did a lot of calculations. However, those who are here from the task force know that that kind of arithmetic was not correct. Ndamburia, I can see you smiling. We were charged with validating the existing data. And it turned out that some of us sitting here would request construction, I don't know of how many labs, oh, we need, I don't know, workshops, oh, we need, I don't know, classrooms. Now, in our validation of that data, we discovered there are schools, secondary schools in this country that have excess of that infrastructure. Excuse me. In a few of them, as many as 10 classrooms that are not being used, but pale, wanaandika wanataka classroom. On my way these days, I'm even cornered sometimes by politicians. Mbona kwetu hamtujengei classrooms? Namwambia tuko na data. I will go and validate. Others are requesting labs. You look at the timetabling of that lab, it is almost, they have several labs, almost idle. They are not being timetabled full time the whole day, but they are asking for labs. So we did that validation, labs, classrooms, washrooms, and so on. The president said he does not want to hear about dorms. Kwa kulala, watu wajue watoto wao kule watalala. But those are the things, and we found 3 categories of schools. There are those that really have deficit of classrooms that need to be lifted up to construct those classrooms so that in 2023, children can have a place to go. There is another category that has just enough of classrooms, which means they will need, because we shall be having 6 classes in secondary, 3 junior and 3 senior, they will need an extra 2 classrooms if it's a single stream, so that they can have 6. Those who have deficit to be lifted up for purposes of equity, and then give them classroom for the 5th and 6th classroom. So we've done that. And I want to assure you that this transition is such a serious concern for government that even after our validation, another team, which I don't know where it was constituted, also went round and found that even as fine and accurate as we were still missing certain things. So it is an activity that is taken very seriously. So we are charged to ensure that there are policies responding to the needs of that transition. There are policies addressing assessment. Of course, this assessment, we have had people saying that, oh, teachers are not honest. So if Fatuma Chege is a good singer, the teacher will give me more marks in mathematics, which I'm getting 0. So I just say, surely, how much can we underrate teachers? That here I am singing very nicely, or I play netball very well, and the teacher is giving me 20 out of 20 in another subject that I'm not doing well. This competency-based curriculum is about interest of the learner, their abilities, their competences in that area. That's all it's about. And therefore, the assessment for them to transition will be capturing what they are doing best, what they are interested best, and also capturing the other areas that possibly they are not doing very well. So we are dealing with the policies, and therefore the transition will be well anchored within the policies as we oversee harmonious implementation of curriculum reforms. We are also charged to the development of frameworks and guidelines to help ourselves as educators on how these reforms have been designed. Thank you to KICD. I'm sure KICD is here. I leave the matters of curriculum to KICD, assessment to NEC. However, the frameworks for coordinating these reforms is in our docket, and the guidelines for doing those, for the implementation assessment is also in our document. I just want to state that as we proceed on the script, what I'm calling the CBC script for transition, that script, we are reading with all the actors that are implicated. And therefore, when we talk about transition from pre-primary to primary, the membership of the multi-agency technical committee, which has got Kenya Education Management Institute for you managers, they are in that committee. Where we have Kenya Special Needs Education, they are there. Where we have Semester, University, TVET, they are all there. And so, as we dialogue and plan, they are seeing what we are talking about early childhood. And they hear what primary is doing, what's happening in junior, what is happening in senior, and it enables us to plan at higher levels. So the script is one, and we meet periodically, every 3 months, and the different actors share their thoughts and what they are thinking. And all this, the way it's designed, it's going to support very strongly the 100% transition that is the policy of the government through the Ministry of Education. Now, I would like to look at the kind of transitions that happen that we need to be aware of at the secondary level, that as the primary is, as the curriculum is being implemented at the primary, it is in two formats. One is the age-based, where our Constitution demands that children at the age of 4 need to be in a form of schooling. But we also know that there are children who may not be able to follow the age-based curriculum and the transitions envisaged at pre-primary, at primary to junior, from junior to secondary, systematically all the way to the tertiaries. And therefore, the age-based is also complemented with the stage-based pathway that the KICD has developed, and I leave them to that to be elaborating to you how it goes. But basically, it just looks at those children who have disabilities, particularly severe mental disabilities, who also have a right to an education. And the CBC, the principle of CBC is that every child, regardless of their background, their socioeconomic status, their ability or inability to perform certain tasks, there is something they can do. And this stage-based pathway addresses that. There are children possibly who will just make a living by doing beadwork. And remember, beadwork fetches a lot of money abroad. Munajua hivyo? And today I forgot to bring my bangle of beadwork. So there is that child who can only do that repetitive skill and make meaning out of themselves, their families, and their community. And it doesn't matter how long they take to master that skill, they do have a right to be facilitated. So the stage-based follows that path, And there are some children along the way that may actually go back into the regular, particularly if they were misdiagnosed. Kuna wengine something happens and God creates a miracle, and they still can cross on the other side. So it's very, very flexible design for transition to higher levels. So as we move on, I would like to just underscore that there are 5 main transitions. I have mentioned 4 of them. Which is the 5th one? Wale wanasinzia. I am on your case if you are dozing. I have mentioned 4 transitions. I've mentioned transition from pre-primary to primary. If you have woken up, hiyo ni revision kidogo. From primary to junior secondary, from junior to senior. What is left? Wapi? Tertiary, eh? Higher. As we go to tertiary and universities, children can still do another transition. What do you guess it would be? Yes, they could go to employment. Someone argued in that task force, how sure are we that 100% wataingia kule? Kuna wengine watachomoka. They could go to apprenticeship. They are attached to do ABCD, and they also transition to work. So we have to bear in mind that the CBC has helped us to look at our education as a system. A system that workers will also go back and join with their children, will come in, so that it becomes a system. There is no way it will succeed if we don't think systemically. And we always say that there is no one part can be greater than what? Than the whole. If one part is not working well, you can't say you have. If you have a 4-legged chair, now it doesn't have one leg, it's not complete. So the CBC is challenging us to think systemically. How does this wheel of education move? So there are those 5 transitions that will happen. And I have heard people arguing that this CBC will be difficult to transition because it's overloading children. How many of you have ever observed CBC children in action? Just put up your hand. There is no failing or passing. You can see the principals hawajaona. Mtoto wa CBC. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I don't have a child in CBC, but I have grandchildren, and so I observe. 844 na CBC. Their parents also observe and give me feedback, to a point where my son told me, now, Mom, this one of 844, I want him, because they wameachana na mwaka mmoja, I want him to go back so that he moves with the CBC. Have you ever observed some good things about these children? They are enjoying what they are doing. And the reason is that the CBC allows the child, the learner, to be self-propelling. The traditional one, we were the ones propelling the learner. Mpaka apate hiyo A. And I will tell you, when I graduated as a music teacher and Kiswahili teacher, I tried to practice what we learned in college. And I am sure you also learned that. Thank you. I don't know whether there is any one of you who was trained in any college for basic learning or for secondary, how to make a child acquire an A grade. Is there any? So that that child can transition to the next level. If you are trained in college how to make a child get A for transition from one level to the other, just put up your hand. I wasn't myself. I was trained to teach primary. I was trained to teach secondary. I never saw a lecturer who talked about that. We were being told things like, let the child discover. Did you hear such things? Let the child explore, let the child innovate. But getting out of that college, then you try now, let the child discover. You find yourself in a lot of trouble. First of all, unaenda promotion, which I tried, and I was being asked, what do you teach? Music and Kiswahili. What was the mean grade for the last 5 years? By the time you leave that place, we are intelligent people. By the time you leave that place, then you know this thing about let the child discover will not make me a successful teacher. Mumejua hiyo. It will not make me be celebrated in the school by the community. It is that A grade. The children also learn that you are telling them to go to the field to run, I don't know, to jump, I don't know what. They also discover. For them to be lifted high in the school and in the community, na watu wacheze ngoma, it's not how fast they run for the school or how they play netball. I used to be a netballer. It is actually the A they get in maths that will make them celebrated. And therefore, working very hard, students and teachers to transition their learners with a grade A and minimum maybe B+. So we also learn. And what I would like to say in terms of helping our learners to transition based on their interest and performance is to think about driving an automatic vehicle. How many of you still drive manual if you drive a vehicle? Nani anaendesha gari ya manual? Aya, kuna wawili kule. Have you ever tried automatic? Aya. So all of you who drive, do you drive automatic? Have you ever driven manual? Hii CBC sasa inatutoa kwa manual to automatic self-propelled. I'll tell you, I learned to drive in a manual, weka one gear, hill start. So when I approach a hill when I was a new driver, I would even be shaking whether this vehicle will go backwards. So I drove. Kila wakati when I want to change a vehicle, I say, don't bring me automatic. I hear they are the ones around. I want manual because that is all I knew. So we went on. Then one time my agent tells me, now those manuals transmissions are no longer there. You'll have to drive automatic. I was very sad. But when the vehicle was brought, I found the vehicle is driving faster than I wanted to drive. So I had to adjust. And then I discovered this vehicle is actually driving itself. It tells itself where to put gear 1, gear 2, when to lessen the gear. It is self-propelling. When you are climbing a hill, you don't have to have your heart stopping because you don't know whether you'll hit someone at the back. If it starts going backward, brakes are not working and so on. Self-propelling. Now, this CBC, where we are coming from, we were on manual. You push the child, even those who don't understand what you are teaching, you stand in a class, in your assemblies, you stand there with 1,000 kids, and you are telling Form 4s, maybe 500 of them, all of you must go to university. Yet you know it's not true. Si tunajua si ukweli. Unawambia wote, they will go there. Yet CBC is telling us, these children have different potentials. They will transition into life successfully if you allow them and guide them to actually be self-propelling. When you allow them that, then you realize your work as a teacher has been made simpler because you don't have to do day in, day out trying to manual transmission them. They will be self-propelling according to their potentials. Now, I want to fast forward to the area of what we need to do. What do we need to do to ensure that the transitions happen successfully from primary to JSS to SSS. Firstly, we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan because it's not a question of if these students transition. They are going to grade 6. It's not even a question of when, because we know these children, it's not if, because they are there, they are real. See, we see those children, we know they are there. You are in secondary subsector, you know that those children are real and they are there. It's not children we are thinking if they will be born. They are there, they are coming. So you need to plan, because one of the destination, one of the stations will be at your dorm step. It is not if, and we know when. 2023 January, they'll come knocking at your doors, and you need to start thinking how to handle them. I was talking to some principals at some point, and I had things like, tunaogopa sana, hawa watoto ni wachanga mno. I can see Madam here from Mamangina saying, yes, ni wachanga mno, mnaogopa. We ourselves grew up in families, some of us, where the last born and the firstborn are miles apart, and our parents did not send the small ones away or kill them. They managed to induct us, to help them to welcome these young ones as part and parcel of the family, those who come from those big families. And when we look at some of us, the system we went to school through, we were leaving school earlier than the 844. How many of you went to that other one now? Well, you are there. Then you transition to a school that has kids up to form ngapi? 6. Did you find your principals afraid of you because you are too young? Please, kuweni na moyo. Be courageous and say this is a change. It will have challenges. Challenges are there to be overcome if we plan. So please do not be afraid. They are so young. I say in that school you have resources, human resource, to make them feel part and parcel of that family. Number 2, the majority of schools in this country are what type? What type of schools are the majority in this country? They mixed. Sinikweli. They mixed are 75% in this country. 70% or thereabouts of children in this country transition into those schools. Sawa. We only have single girls' school, 1,500, boys, 1,007, but the majority are single mixed. And when I talk about this, I become emotional when I hear people saying, hii transition iko na nguvu, sijui watoto watakuja ni wachanga sana. These children, 75%, come from where? Every day. Wanatoka nyumbani, si ndio? Kwa wazazi wao. And that is what I went through all my life. From primary, they mixed. Secondary, they mixed. From my parents' home. So my parents knew my life every day of my education career. Kama huko nimechokozwa na some boys najaribu kujipigania, by the time I get home, I find somebody telling me, sasa we kazi ni kupigana tu kwa barabarani. I wonder now, how did she know? The community knew us. And they would reprimand and even go and report, I left your child doing ABCD there. So, again, the task force recommended that JSS, junior secondary, as much as possible, should be in day school as much as possible. Of course, there are some children who are better off in boarding schools because of the circumstances in which they are. So as much as possible to be in day schools, and therefore a lot of development, as you have observed, is also happening in these day schools to help them to accommodate those children. So when we speak and make this transition to junior as if it is an unmanageable something animal that has come, it's not quite true. We have many families that are conversant with day schooling, and the other reason why it's recommended the day schooling. During the task force, we engaged with the educational psychologists, guidance and counselors, and many other people in that field. And we addressed that transition. No wonder this topic was titled Transitions. And we appreciated as a team that apart from transitioning physically from primary to secondary, there are other transitions that these children are going through in terms of human growth and development, child development. There is the psychological component, psychosocial, emotional, all those that will require concerted effort between the school and the families and the community, and to ensure that they support not only the school learning, but the value-based education, as well as community service learning. That community service learning can only be learned when children are within the communities. And I remember when it came for the first time. You remember the market thing? Simunakumbuka? Aya. I found some parents in a board where I was complaining at now, and they were speaking in vernacular. Sasa hii, watoto wanafagia soko. This means this CBC inataka watoto wetu watamani kuwa wafagiaji. So me, I just listened. They talked. I was going now for that board meeting. Hii CBC ni kitu mbaya sana. How can children aspire to become sweepers and cleaners? So when they finished, I told them I was listening to what you are talking about. How many of you live in unswept houses? Tell me. They kept quiet. Do your children sweep at home? They are quiet. So we addressed the whole value of a clean environment. I gave them the example of Japan, where my friend was telling me, where the son goes to school, there is a day of cleaning the environment, and at least one parent must accompany that child and the teachers to clean the environment. And so she would tell me, that one, I contributed my husband. So wanaenda wanarokota makaratasi, which means that child will never accommodate anyone littering as they grow up. And it's never littered, that place. Then there is a day for greeting people. In this day and age, people don't greet each other. They never. In fact, you greet somebody, then he looks at you and wonders, sasa huyu ananisalimia na anijui. Have you seen those kinds of things? When we were growing up, we were told when you meet an adult, it's for you to greet them. Unamwamkua. Then they ask, na wewe ni mtoto wa nani? Na mimi ni mtoto wa Juma Kombo. So when they meet your parents, say, nilikutana na msichana na akaniamkua tukaongea amekuwa mkuu. You know, so you create a community. But these days, even adults, you say hello, salam alaikum. They look at you, then they ask the other one, unamjua? You know, those kinds of things. So she was telling me there is a day of going greeting people in the street. So she said that one I volunteered myself. So you go, you meet people, konnichiwa, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. So when you meet these people, they don't have to know you, but there's the way they salute. So they salute you, konnichiwa. And the more wakikujua, like now the older professors, anainama hata zaidi. Like myself, because I am a small professor, wananifanya tu konnichiwa, konnichiwa. If they find now, like my teacher, it is down there. And they don't have to force themselves. It's it is like a second nature, and children grow appreciating being part and parcel of a community. So this CBC, we are looking forward for transitioning children who will already have started getting those skills from the primary. And please be ready for them. Don't run away. I'll give you an example. When I was inspecting the CBC classrooms, hata huko kwenu Pwani nilikuwako dadangu. I went to Taita, Taveta, Nyandarua, wherever. And I'll tell you, when I ask in many places where they have big compounds, I want to see the CBC classroom. Oh, CBC classroom. Then I'm taken to a kasafari. Kasafari uko. And there it is. Yet the other school infrastructure is together. CBC classroom, there is one which was right at the gate. As you go into the main, Bini, I'm coming to see the CBC. Oh, iko uko kwa gate. So we go back there and I'm asking, why have you put this classroom so far? Are you going to be the principal of those students? Yes. And this will be 12-year-old, 11-year-old, surely. But there's a place I went and they had a big infrastructure, 3 stories. I asked to see the CBC classroom. I was told we have allowed the contractor to build alongside the others. Unaona the difference? Wengine wanasema shikanisha na hii, yani iyo classroom is like for children, alien children. In fact, there is a place they would even brag that it is cheaply done, you should see what we do and so on. These are our classrooms. And I keep telling each one of them, and I will also share with you, those classrooms, the money is coming from Kenya National Treasury, sindio? And planning, you know that. That money, the CS Treasury, Ukuria Tani, does not have a safe somewhere, anafungia pesa, akiambiwa na president, 8 billion, anaenda anafungua, anatoa. That money is your money and my money. So I have a stake in that CBC classroom. You as a principal, your money is there. It's your classroom. Please support that construction. Pesa yako iko hapo. Si ya Ukuru ya Tani ama ya mtu mwingine. Ukuru just sits down, anasema, oh, nimeitishwa 8 billion, itatoka wapi? I'm still going back to this collection, take something little from there, take a little from TSC and so on. It's our money, it's our taxes. Please, apana kutupa hiyo classroom huko. Let it be part and parcel. So that when these children transition, they don't feel alienated. So in this transition of 2023, there will be challenges of the double intake. Because you will be having Form 1, you already have your 4 classrooms, moja imetoka, replaced by a Form 1, but then there will be the CBC. What is important is to understand that this double intake will be challenging in the first 2 years. When we start phasing out that 844 group, eventually everything will stabilize. That is something we discussed very seriously in the task force, and we were saying, shall we be honest to tell government to build infrastructure where eventually it will not be used? So all we need is those 2 extra classes to get 6. If you are single stream, it's just 1-1, double stream, mbili, and so on and so forth. And already, as the minister said the other day, the first phase has gone very well. We have over 5,000 out of the 6 that are done, and we are looking for the phase 2. Now, when these children join junior secondary in your schools, they will be now being exposed to a broader curriculum so that they can explore their potentials. And I leave that to KICD to talk about it, so that as they prepare for the pathways, and how many pathways will you be looking at? I'm sure mnasoma hiyo Competency-based, yes, how many? Tatu, sindio? There is the STEM pathway, the humanities and social sciences, and you have the sports and creative arts and so on and so forth. So I'm telling you, if there was CBC during my time, possibly I would not be here or even a lecturer. I would be singing myself away somewhere because it was my number one, potential and interest. But my father would ask, "Nani kuimba tu? Kuimba tu? Kazi kuimba tu? Hiyo itakupeleka wapi?" So, na hesabu, I never failed, but I was barely passing. That I would be something else. But I thank God, alinifungulia upande wa ualimu, so that was my option number 2, and I think I have done relatively well. I taught students to sing, dance, so your talent ilingia pahali, but I realized they are not getting it, so I'm not being promoted, you know. So these pathways are there, and we recommended that every secondary schools, the ones you had, they must offer minimum 2 pathways. And that is something you are already doing. There are those who can even offer the 3. Go ahead and offer the 3 because you can keep your children and bring others from other places there. So minimum 2 pathways based on your strength, the facilities that you have, and don't panic about this double intake. It is a temporary challenge. If you interrogate that, 50 minutes more. And nimeona ameandika 50 minutes. Anyway, thank you very much. Hi. So, I talked of a plan. Our State Department now has been planning how to make this thing effective, efficient, cost-effective, and efficient. And one of the things we have been doing is to develop the structures that will help that young State Department to work with stakeholders all the way to the schools to make the transitions effective. So we are starting from the top. Of course, we have to have a national steering committee to be approved by the CS as the chair, and then we start going downwards, so that we have structures at the county level where we shall be working multi-sectorally, so that the Ministry of Interior, which works very well with education, and our ministry will work together. Then we shall have county implementation committees, sub-county implementation committees, and school transition and implementation committees. There are 2 types of committees that will be happening: the implementation one and the transition ones, because the transition needs to be managed. At the school level, we shall be requesting a sub-committee for transition at the school level, so as to help rationalize the infrastructure, the human resource, and other facilities that are required. So we have been busy developing those structures and its membership, and waiting for the launch and by the CS. Now, you can't have structures constituting human beings and you don't think about their capacities. And that is why we have developed the guidelines. We have developed the frameworks, guidelines for implementation, guidelines for transition, framework for coordinating these massive reforms. Now, if we talk about structures and capacity building, we need the tools. And the tools are those documents that I have mentioned. And these will be very, very important to put in place as we are constructing classrooms. So if you look very critically, you will realize 2 things are happening there. The hardware. The hardware inaonekana na macho. And what is it? Munaona hardware. Hardware for, which is the example of hardware that you are able to see? Huh? You don't know. It's happening in your schools. Classrooms, if you will get a lab, and now I'm seeing so many labs coming up with CDF and other funds given by the ministry. So there is hardware, which you can see. But hardware without software, it is meaningless. You cannot operationalize it. You need the software. And these are committees constituting of officers from the ministry and other partnering ministries. The softwares in terms of the guidelines and developing the capacity. Huwezi kuona capacity until it's being operationalized. So that's the software. Hardware, even books are hardware. You see them being given in schools. So that is the other bit, aspect of ensuring that the curriculum, the transitions are effective and efficient. And I think, since I'm told it's 5 minutes, I would want to actually stop here. I don't want the moderator to come back here again because I'm afraid. Ninaogopa sana tukisimama wawili hapa mbele. So I'll make sure that I'm not chasing away from here, but to just confirm to you that the State Department has already designed the implementation committees, and when the time comes, we shall be working with you, designed the transition committees to support the transitions, and when the time is right, you will see us. So kindly be the willing implementer. Do not run away. And if you get the next CBC classroom, please don't take it far away into the bush. Let it be part and parcel of the school infrastructure where the other learners are, so that you create a community. And thank you very much, moderator. Asante sana. Oh, you want to give me something?
As she winds up, thank you, Professor. I want to invite Mr. Waifoshi from Samastea to give her an award. And from Kesha, I also have the privilege of giving our award. With that address that we have had, I would wish that we give Professor 3 heart claps. 3 heart claps. 1, 2, 3. Funga, fungua.
Thank you so much, Professor. We appreciate that. Was a very informative session. So as we are getting ready to our last session, we want to ask the band to come. As the band comes, we want to announce Kakunde Tembo. Your number is 0728, then it ends with a 666. You've won a ticket by Jumbo Jet. Please go to the Jumbo Jet desk and pick your free ticket to fly to America. Isabel M. Rama, you've also won a free ticket. Unfortunately, your ticket is local. You can only go to Kakamega. Please go and pick your ticket, and we appreciate you as the 2 winners. Now, we have some free machines we are going to give 3 schools. We're just going to announce the names, and then they are going to come. Then we shall have an interlude and invite our guest.
1 second. 1 minute. Okay, good morning, teachers and delegates. Hope you are doing all well. Okay, we as Ahmed Business Machines Limited would like to thank the organizers for allowing us the privilege to showcase our various solutions in printing industry. During this exhibition, we were running a promotion for one of our copier models to give the participants a chance to win a printer. So I would like to announce the 3 lucky winners.
Okay, the first lucky winner is Mr. Martine Benjami, Engineer Ngilu Secondary, Kitui, Eastern Region. Please, can you come to the podium? The next one is Mrs. Lucy Waitaka, Kangeta Girls, Central Region. The third winner, the last and the third winner is Mrs. Juliana Kirui, Moi Girls Eldoret, Wishingishu County, Rift Valley Region. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Those ones have won a free printer machine from the business technology, and we appreciate them. Now, can we stand up for an interlude before we get the final stage? Let's stand up, all of us. Let's stand up, all of us. Band, we can do aka energizer, then you do your song. Sawa sawa. So there's a song we used to sing that says, Father Abraham had many sons, so Father Abraham, I am one of them, and so are you, so let us pray. Okay, right hand, let's do this, left hand, knees bend, head bend, tongue out, turn around, everybody there, you're not turning around, I am one of them, higher stand, hands up, left hand, knees bend, head bend, elbows bend, tongue out, turn around, Higher, we're going to try this. There's a man in the Bible called Peter. He says, I will make you fishers. Where it is fishers, all the females stand, the males sit. Men, all the men stand. Where there's an M, the males stand, the women sit. Okay? So let's try. Everybody sit. Let's go. I will. Where there is an M, men stand. I will make you fishers of. Chairman has decided to go for the. Okay, let's try. Everybody sit down. Where there's fishers, the female stand, men, the male stand. I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men. If you. Where are the men? If you follow. If you. I can't see you. Take off. I will make you. I can't.
Rosilita vero aramanya, ukanga la sundu na busi. Rosilita vero aramanya, ukanga la sundu na busi.
Chini. Makofi. Twende. wakamba hapa? Tuko na wakamba hapa. Muyayo sangoma wiki vila ni chesume. Twende.
Muyayo sangoma wiki vila ni chesume. Muyayo sangoma wiki vila ni chesume.
Ay 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 ay.
Satani we mosi.
Ay 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 ay.
Selangu mama.
Hey, ay 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 ay. 1 2 3 go. Haya, wapi wakale kwa nyumba? Wakale wako? Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya. Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya.
Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya. Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya.
Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya. Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya.
Tinya baba tinya. Baba tinya.
Let's go. 1 2 3 go. We have the people from the Mount Kenya region in the house. Are you there? Are you there? Aya, twende Mount Kenya. Twende kidogo hapo Mount Kenya. Kidogo tu Mount Kenya. Yule jamaa huyo ako na mogithi. Twende kazi. Usingoje ki. Haya, twende.
Mwana kango kwera te wendo ne wendo. Otomaga mondo ya moko shurie. Otomaga mondo nyemara kioni. Aruta moyo no do amudoke.
Bado tu region moja tukifika huko. Wapi watu wa the Lake region? Wako wapi? Wako wapi wa Lake region? Haya, tupeleke Lake region kidogo alafu ni invite chairman. Watu wa Lake region nasema msiwasahau. 3 go. Asante sana, you may wish to take your seats. Now, before the band goes down, as we want to invite the chairman, we want the chairman to come with a Costarian song, so that chairman would come like a Costarian. So give us a Costarian something as the chairman comes up. Anything Costarian. Thank you so much. Watu wa Mombasa, karibu.
Now, our chief guests, colleague delegates, I want to begin by saying how happy I am as I stand here before you, because we have gotten to a point where we are talking about going to the closing ceremony. I want to thank you most sincerely for the cooperation that we have accorded one another since the beginning of this conference. I know it will not have been easy for us, particularly for me as the MC, had it not been for your cooperation. So I don't want to take it for granted. That's why I'm saying a very big thank you. Let us thank ourselves. Let us thank the Almighty for having enabled us to go through this program. It only requires His hand, His blessings, for us to be able to do what we're able to do for the last 1 week that we have been here. Now that we're at that point, we have to remember to thank Him. And that is why I'm saying so. Thank you for your patience. I know it has been very challenging, but because of your commitment, the seriousness that you put into this conference, that is why you are still here as for now. So, Mungu awabariki sana as we conclude, as we begin going back to our various destinations. We want to say that even as Coast Region, we have enjoyed your presence. Outside there, I'm sure everybody has seen the difference. Everybody, in one way or the other, he has benefited in your being here. So on their behalf, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you. Now, I know our minds are on getting the next flight or getting back. So I want to go straight, allow me to go straight to our final session. Our chairman is here with us. Thank you, Chair. And I want now, you allow me to call the chair. Now I'm talking about two chairs. Now the chair is our chair, Teacher Service Commission. Now I want to be calling the chair, Kesha, our able chair, Kesha, to come and give his closing remarks, and then invite our chair, Teacher Service Commission. A clap for our chairman. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here up to this time. Our guest of honor, sir, the Chair, Teacher Service Commission, Dr. Jamlek, PS, Ministry of Education, Senior Directors from Teacher Service Commission, our field directors from Teacher Service Commission, Ministry of Education, colleague, principals, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First, it gives me great pleasure to stand here today as we prepare to close our 45th Annual National Conference. We've been here for the last 4 days, from Monday 18th up to today. And throughout this period, we've discussed a lot. We've been taken through a lot. We've shared amongst ourselves the experiences we've had in our various schools for the 2-year period that we were not able to meet. And we are leaving, going back to our school rejuvenated, re-energized, and ready to start the new academic year. Ladies and gentlemen, we are well aware that we are getting into an academic year that is packed, an academic year that is going to be challenging. And I want to use this platform to appeal to all Kenyans to be patient with principles. We are human. We value quality teaching and quality education of our children. We cannot knowingly choose to make education unaffordable to this nation, because we too are parents. Where there are issues of concern, let them be raised in the proper manner without generalizing and blaming everybody in the teaching and the principals association. As Kenyan principals, I want to assure this nation that we will continue to provide direction to our children. We will continue to propose ideas that can inform policy changes. This that we are proposing in Mombasa, as you will hear, are not an end in themselves. Where we are initiating debate, let us debate soberly. Where it will require legal issues to come in, let the legal experts come in and support us in getting the legal requirements and the best way forward in this. Sir, I want to thank Teacher Service Commission as our employer for continued support that they have given us, not only in this organization of this conference, but in the day-to-day running of our institutions through advice, direction, and allowing us even to meet. It is important to note that Kesha plays a very important role in the field of education across Africa and in the world. Kesha has been the president of ASP, African Confederation of Principals, up to last year. I took 3 years chairing that organization. I'm happy that my predecessor was in this conference and had to travel back to Nigeria, but the vice president of ACP is here with us from Swaziland, just to wave again. We were equally joined by another delegate from Lesotho, who is still here. They call themselves the Kingdom in the Sky. We have today received an invitation to the Kenyan principals to attend the ACP conference come next year. We are aware of policies Teacher Service Commission have put in place, but as very important players in the education of Africa and in the world, where I sit as a member of the executive representing Africa in the International Confederation of Principals, I want to take this opportunity to appeal that at times when these international conferences fall at the time when we are not in break, some consideration should be given for a few members of Kesha to attend, because we are affiliated to ACP and ICP. So when these conferences take place and we miss, then we are fined as an association for non-participation. Yet this is a simple appeal, a humble appeal that we are putting to you, Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said yesterday and today, and I would like to repeat, that we are aware of the complaints that are being raised by parents and everybody else, that we are making education unaffordable, and especially when Form 1s are to attend school. Let me repeat for the 4th time that we will follow the set guidelines. As principals, we are custodian of the law at institutional level. We want to say that we will not be a hindrance to any child wanting to join or having been invited to join our institution. Where there are issues, we are available for discussion. I have from yesterday asked my colleagues that as we go back, let us look at our joining instructions. And if there are any issues that are there that may pose a hindrance, we have the ability to change. And this, Mr. Chair, I want to assure you, we will be able to do it. Because eventually, all complaints will land on you for you to take disciplinary measures. Before you do it, we will have adjusted. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to appreciate that you've been here all this time. You have shared and listened to the information that has been given. We are now set to get ourselves ready for the CBC transition to secondary. We have been taken through all the preparation and thinking of government, and we have noticed that we are going to play a central role, especially in those transition groups that were mentioned. At school level, we are going to be very instrumental. And that is why we are still asking government to now release the letters of boards of management that were appointed, that were vetted last year. We expected that the letters of appointments would have been out in February. We are now getting to May. It would be good that these letters are released so that the new boards can start working and preparing for next year. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the idealized influencers. We influence decisions as far as education is concerned. In our institutions, please let us continue doing so. We are the inspirational motivator. On behalf of our employer and on behalf of government, we play a very important role in motivating our teachers, working under us, and motivating our students. A role we must continue and enhance it. We must continue being the provider of intellectual stimulations. Let us go out there and stimulate discussions on how best we can run. In Mombasa, we have stimulated discussion on a myriad of issues. As I said, Kenyans, let us debate them. So we have made proposals to Teachers Service Commission, some that will touch on certain policies. Maybe it will require policy discussion. If it can't happen, you will get back to us and we will be able to understand. As I conclude, allow me to invite the National Secretary to come forward and read our conference resolutions. Let us put our hands together as I welcome Mr. Abdinu. We call him in our circles Sultan, to come and read our resolutions.
Our Commission Chairman, our PS, other directors, distinguished guests, colleague principals, all protocols observed, allow me to take you through our Kesha resolutions for the 45th National Conference held at Sheikh Zayed Hall. And before I start, I would like to bring to your attention that our secretary was called for an emergency meeting and he has left. My name is Abdinur, the National Vice Secretary. One, there is need to have a review on the fees guidelines that was last done 10 years ago to inform on issues of capitation and fees payable by parents in boarding schools. Two, parents are encouraged to ensure the students have the required reference books and instructional materials such as Bibles, mathematical tables, dictionaries, kamusi, and atlases, without forgetting also the Holy Quran. Three, we appreciate the training of 6 teachers per school on CBC. We propose TSC to consider training a percentage per school rather than an equal number across all schools. 4, we propose the BOM appointment and inauguration be done on time to avert infighting among the members who were not reappointed. 5, candidates who disappear from school after registration and do not meet the required number of learning hours should not be allowed to sit for exams since they water down the efforts the school has put in to improve performance. 6, we support the multi-agency approach to examination management. This has led to a reduction of examination malpractice, and we support this approach, which has improved the credibility of our examinations. 7, we propose a review of the disciplinary procedures in the schools and development of regulations to operationalize Children's Act in learning institutions. 8, ministry should release capitation together with the disbursement circular so that principals can be able to manage the funds prudently. 9, alternative sources should be sought for infrastructure in the schools. It is currently straining capitation, leaving schools with huge debts. 10, we propose a reorganization of the FS 3-day secondary funds to allow more money in the tuition account sent to schools to manage other teaching and learning requirements. 11, while we appreciate the rollout plans for CBC on infrastructure and retooling of teachers, we will wish KICD to avail the curriculum designs for junior secondary schools for purposes of review and recommendations made on time. 12, headship. Very few teachers have attained D1 grade, and therefore very few qualify for deputy headship. And the same case for D3, making it difficult for deputies to become principals. It was resolved that TSC fast-track the promotion of teachers in D1 and D3 to ease the challenges of management in schools. 13, we propose a creation of more deputy slots for schools with a large number of students, specifically deputy principals in charge of boarding services, guidance and counseling services, and discipline. 14, we propose the introduction of new cadre of principals to level of senior chief principals. 15, the internship program introduced by the government is highly appreciated. We recommend that when employment opportunities are advertised, the positions should be in the schools the interns are already working. 16, the medical cover as envisaged is not being provided by the service provider in some hospitals. We propose a roundtable discussion to harmonize delivery of medical services to teachers. And finally, we propose that once appointed as a principal, Teacher Service Commission to admit the member into Kesha and submit the membership subscriptions. Those are our proposals and resolutions from the 45th National Conference. And I hereby request a proposer and a seconder from our delegates. Member.
Yes. Madam, your name? Beatrice Keror, which school? From Wasengishu, proposes. Seconder?
Irongo Nduati, Highway Secondary School, Nairobi.
Thank you. Nduati from Highway. We all agree that we now be able to send these proposals to the relevant offices. Thank you very much. Let's clap for ourselves. Yeah, just sign. Yeah, we will sign the other copies at the end, and then we'll be able to send them with a cover letter. But before I do anything, a message has been released by His Excellency the President. Can we all rise and observe a minute's silence for the departed third President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Mwai Kibaki, who has passed on at the age of 90. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I invite Director in charge of administration at TSC headquarters, Director Mumin, to come and invite the chair at TSC. Karibu, Director. Makofi as he comes. Endelea kupiga makofi mpaka afike tafadhali. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. I was tempted to walk slowly so that the clubs can continue. The guest of honor, Dr. Jamlek Muturi, the chair of the Teacher Service Commission, the principal secretary, Professor Fatuma Chege, the national chairman, Bwana Ndimuli, principals of secondary schools, ministry and TSC directors and other field officers, distinguished guests, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this ceremony. I think we need to thank God Almighty for making us come to the end of this conference. At one point, I know when Ndimuli was having butterflies to see whether this was going to, whether this will succeed, whether this will go as the way it has gone the other years, even after we have had a 2-year break. But I want to say thank you, God Almighty, for making us see to the end of this program. I must note that a lot of experiences, policies, proposals, and ideas have been shared. These ideas will now go into the policy formulation arenas throughout the setup, the sector, the ministry, the TSC, everywhere else, so that we can make sense out of the deliberations that have gone through during the 5 days. Chair, this is one of the biggest get-together the teaching fraternity has got in any 1 year. And it's a thing that is normally benchmarked across the continent. Anytime you appear in another country, they will ask you, when is your heads conference going to happen? So, and this is as a result of the success, the many successes this conference has been responsible for. Chair, it is your day. I wish to invite you to make your remarks and formally close the 5-day Kesha conference for the year 2022. And I think, colleagues, let us all rise and give the chair some 3 hearty claps so that he's energized to bring this conference to an end. Chairman, please. Secretary Jamlek. Can we do that in a more formal way? Eh? And I again want to reiterate the days, the Kanu days. Eh? So 1, 2, 3. Funga. Fungua. Karibu Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Mumin, the PS, my sister, Professor Fatuma Chege, the chairman, my brother Idmuli, the members of the Governing Council, directors present, both from the field and from the headquarters, officials from the ministry and the TSC, union officials present, distinguished principals, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am really very excited here and remember with nostalgia when I used to be here as one of the principals, Mr. Chairman, from 1999 to 2012. I used to attend this conference. So I'm persuaded to proclaim, to declare and decree that from among you, the next chairman will come from you. Because they have passed through me, so even you'll definitely get it. I also want to remember very clearly, I was also a chairman of the county or the district then. I was in the provincial committee and the national committee. So I know Kesha is a very important organ when it comes to deliberating on issues of national importance. I remember Madam P.S., when unfortunately the late president, as we have been told, Honorable Mwai Kibaki, decided to have 2 schools per county be a national school. The Kesha was consulted. And they sat around table, and I was there with Professor Ongeri. And it was agreed that when we look for these schools, one must be a girls' school, the other one must be a boys' school. And we also, the Kesha then, the chairman, proposed that it was taken very positively, that the distribution of the school within the county, that time district, must be properly, geopolitically distributed. So that from one corner we have a girl, the other corner we have a boys' school. So, Mr. Indimuli, let me tell you, my chair, that we will consult you when we are making policies because you are very significant to us. Indeed, it's a great pleasure and honor to invite me to address you during this closing ceremony of the 45th Annual National Conference of Principals. And personally, I'm delighted to meet you for the first time as the Chairperson Teacher Service Commission. Allow me to bring the greetings of my colleague commissioners, the 8 of them, and the greetings of our CEO, Dr. Nancy Macharia. Have you received them? Thank you. Apart from the essential conference presentations, keynote speeches, and panel discussions, participants in this conference have had the opportunity to create, develop social networks, and critical collaborations between principals, schools, counties, I believe, and various stakeholders. I was excited when I saw one of the stakeholders, one of the sponsors, even giving a present of a printer to a school. That networking is very important, and that's why we come for these particular conferences. I'm also happy that we have our brothers from the kingdoms. From the kingdoms. You know, when they are here, they look like us. The Muswatis, they look like us. And I think invite my brother Idimuli to come and see what happens when there is that ceremony. So that he also gets the taste of it. This conference comes at a time when our nation, just like other countries across the world, is recovering from our education service from the ravages of COVID-19 pandemic. It is worth noting that we lost teachers, we lost principals, we even lost members of staff from the secretariat. And though we observed a moment of silence when the president was here, we being the front line workers and being our brothers and sisters, I humbly request you once again to stand, we honor them, and we have a silent prayer for their families. May God rest their soul in eternal peace. Ladies and gentlemen, Some of those who are members of our staff, some of them, they have left families. Let us support the families and their children so that their sons and daughters can reach the ultimate objective that their parents had for them. But against this backdrop, there is hope that with their resilience, Kenyan teachers will triumph and bring the education back to full recovery. As a commission, we will continue supporting to recover quickly from the impact of the pandemic in order to enable every learner access quality education. I wish to thank all teachers, including the principals of our public institutions, for their dedication and selflessness in delivering the just ended KCPE and KCSE exams. Mr. Chairman, I'm aware that some of your colleagues are examiners. They participated in marking the exams. They were even the ones who are manning the examination centers, and really we thank you for that. I am aware also that now from next Monday, you will be preparing another cohort, another 3 cohorts who are going to do exams towards the end of November and December this year. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the conference comes at a time when the education sector, as we have said, in this country is undergoing fundamental reforms. And it has clearly been explained to us by the PAs. Your conference theme, Re-examining the Future Together, a new era of education in Kenya, captures one of the critical issues of reform agenda, the dictates of education in the 21st century. In line with your theme, it is important to note the following as we face a new era in education. That the once education system in the 19th century were training learners to be employees of factories and farms. The global economies then were centered around land, labor, capital, and workers in all the tangible assets. That was agrarian economy, which was replaced by industrial economy, where people have left farms, or they left farms and went to factories. However, the 21st century knowledge economy encourages multidisciplinary training and innovations so that our learners can fit well and the managers of schools can fit well, definitely, in the new era, the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, education is the single most central factor that drives growth in all spheres of life. We have an economy driven by innovation and knowledge. The markets are engaged in intense competition and constant renewal. We have a society facing complex business, political, scientific, technological, health, and environmental challenges. As principals, I am aware, and the chairman has said, you are working in an environment that is full of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And therefore it requires a principal to be all round if he is going to fit well and manage the school in a manner that will deliver as per the expectations of all stakeholders. The development of new skills that we need to survive takes place in the school. As principals, therefore, you are the change agents who will implement the necessary education reforms of the 21st century. I am proud to be associated, and we are working hand in hand with the Ministry of Education to ensure that we deliver the curriculum as per the aspiration of His Excellency the President and also the people of the Republic of Kenya. But we know very well the man who is going to hold the bullet, the man who is going to actually go to the battlefield is the teacher whom I am addressing today. And therefore we recognize your effort regardless of the environment and the challenges that you are working under. As a principal, you have a dual responsibility of administration. You are the one who is in charge of championing and ensuring that all the policies of the government are implemented at the school level. You have also another responsibility of supervising the personnel, as well as harnessing and managing both the human capital, the physical capital, and the financial capital. So you really need to be very well versed with all that which is required to manage all those ones for the betterment of our children. School principals have a responsibility of supporting effective teaching, building an achievement-based school culture, and aligning resources to meet the goals that translate to student success. Further, you have a responsibility to implement government initiatives and policies concerning the wider education agenda. In this regard, education cannot therefore succeed without the input of all the teachers and the principal. Ladies and gentlemen, a school principal is many things to many people. Mr. Chairman, allow me. A school principal and a teacher are the highest, highly regarded members of the society. And actually, the Kenyan society resonates around a teacher. If you go to any functions, at the lowest level, that is the teacher who manages. And therefore, you are very significant in this country. The bottom line is that you are routinely called upon to exercise leadership in many situations, in and out of the school. The following, therefore, to me, are the attributes of an effective principal. One, an effective principal needs to be a visionary leader. You need to be the one carrying the vision for your school and be able to explain this vision to all the members of the school fraternity, right from the gatekeeper to the cook who is cooking in the kitchen, and the teachers, and also definitely the parents. You are supposed also to have organizational leadership, create and sustain an entrepreneurial culture that engages the school and the community to remove barriers and maximize on resource utilization for the success of the students. Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. People will say we don't have resources. The PS actually will tell you she doesn't have enough resources. And across the world, so long as you understand splendor, you'll never get enough. But allow me to refer you to the Bible, the story of Moses. He was asked by God, what are you holding? He said, what? A staff. Then he was told, press it down. Remember, even Moses complained that I'm not very eloquent. So what I'm saying, the resources that the government has given you, the teachers, the handwear, as the PS has talked about, those resources, can you ensure that we have used them optimally so that it can be able to translate to good results? I can see somebody here enjoying my talk. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have collaborative leadership skills. What it means is that we need to be able to communicate and sustain engagement, Mr. Chairman, with all stakeholders in the school. Let us engage the staff and involve them. Let us engage the parents and involve them. Let us engage the students and involve them. Let us engage the members of community. That is very, very important. Then the last one, and not the least, as a very important quality, is build transformative or transformational teams in your school. Ensure that within the school, you have people who are in charge of various levels who can carry your vision, sell it to the students, sell it to the parents, sell it to the community, sell it to the sponsors, so that your vision can eventually translate into actionable working plans. A principal should therefore inculcate positive mindset among the teachers and students. This will make them see possibilities instead of negativity when faced with adversaries. Mr. Chairman, to effectively carry your duties as a principal, you should understand your learners. And that's what we need to know. The kind of learners that you handle are very different from those of yesteryears. Know that you are dealing with 21st century learners who are digital gurus. Ladies and gentlemen, all the students in your schools now are AC, that is after computer. But when I look at all of you, you are BC, before computer. And therefore, you are not resonating the same level. Some of them, when you were born the other day, so that the mother can engage in one or two activities, the mother would give the child a mobile phone and put some cartoons there. So this boy or girl, when he comes to a school, he expects that in the school, those facilities are available. This unprecedented access to technology means that our students have more information available to them than we could have dreamed of even a couple of decades ago. They can teach themselves almost anything they want to know using the online resources available to them. But they could be unaware of the dangers they can get in through unregulated internet use. As educators, therefore, we are tasked with helping these capable, intelligent children prepare for challenges which we cannot foresee. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say that globally, the resources are diminishing, and the fourth industrial revolution is rising. This is a system designed to bridge the physical, digital, biological realms in what is known as cyber-physical systems. It is a vision of advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering, quantum computing, and other technologies. It is this collective force which is behind many products and services that are fast becoming indispensable to modern life. Think of GPS that suggests the fastest route that you take to reach your destination. Like everything new, the fourth industrial revolution will disrupt our social, political, economical, and cultural existence like never before. One thing is for sure, we cannot go back and remain teaching and using methodologies and pedagogies that were used in the 1990s. Therefore, it calls upon us to adopt the new technologies and new innovative methods of curriculum delivery. That's why my brother here, Daktari Ndambori, is the champion of TPD, because TPD will enhance inculcation and training and giving teachers pedagogies that will enable them to deliver the curriculum in the right way. It is nothing short of that. It is to enhance the capacity of the teacher so that the teacher can fit very well, one, in delivery of the curriculum, two, in having the right skills and knowledge that is in line with what is expected in the 21st century. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the competence-based curriculum is designed to bridge the gaps, and I am happy that my sister has really eloquently and satisfactorily explained to us that exists in the past education systems in this country. And it is meant to prepare our youth or the system to fit and compete well in the global arena. It has pathways that will put our youth at a vantage point in embracing the fourth industrial revolution. Allow me to say, therefore, I am very happy, Mr. Chairman, and I was happy because you told the President and all your colleagues said and accepted that the entire fraternity of Hens Association is ready to accommodate the first cohort of CBC. Can you give yourself a hand for that visionary approach? Because anyway, we can't go back. We are 8 years old into the system, no reverse gear. It is either forward or forward, no other way. And I thank you, because that is the way we must ensure that our children, our sons and daughters in this country, are in tandem and the same level with our brothers and sisters across the world. Indeed, TSC, in preparation for that, we have already trained 29,000 teachers who are already taking care of grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, and even grade 6. And from Monday, we are going to start training 60,000 teachers in secondary school who will take care of the junior secondary first cohort. And that is what we are planning to do. And that's what we are going to do. Because the teachers require the necessary pedagogies, the necessary skills to deliver the curriculum. Ladies and gentlemen, as we upgrade ourselves and adapt the changes demanded by education in the 21st century, we must not lose sight of our fundamental obligation of teachers to protect learners. Allow me to remind you, Mr. Chairman, and the entire team, on Section 36(1) of the Basic Education Act 2013, which states that no pupil shall be subjected to torture, cruel, inhuman, degrading treatment or punishment in manner whether physical or psychological. I know we have challenges of discipline in our schools, Mr. Chairman, because the methods that were applicable in 1990s, when we used to have the HENS manual, which was defining certain criteria, is no longer in tandem. However, Mr. Chairman, I suggest that we adopt what I refer to as integrated discipline management strategy. What does this entail? It entails the following. One, we need to engage our students. We need to have what we call kamukonjis. There was a time I was coming from the field, and I entered in one of the schools. I think it's in Siaya. Is it Onono or Oreno? One of the top schools there. Yes? Orero Secondary School. It's the principal here. Principal of Orero. Mr. Chairman, when I went there, Madam PS, in fact, we just entered. It was around 4:30 in the evening. I just entered, and we found the principal and a battalion of over 10 teachers in the dining hall with over 2,000 boys, and they were having their kamukonji. In fact, we found one of the boys explaining to the other boys how they are going to handle issues of drug and substance abuse. And they passed it as a resolution of the school that if they get somebody, they will be taking that boy to the head teacher, and then the head teacher would assist in managing that particular student. That is the approach I'm talking about. Our sons and daughters have issues. Some of the issues are coming from homes. So there is need for us to have an opportunity, even if it's once per month. Regardless of the size of the school, sit down with them, Mr. Chairman. Listen to them. Possibly the issues they have, they are very minor. The other approach within that framework is, yesterday, you as principals, you are taught about mental health. Our sons and daughters have a lot of mental issues. There is need to involve and invite psychiatrists into our schools who can have a session with the students' fraternity. And possibly they can flag out some of the issues disturbing them and assist you. The other aspect that you can involve is actually the sponsors, the spiritual leaders. Can you invite them into our schools? Because they will be able to guide the students on Gondre ways. I don't know, when somebody has a Gondre element in him, he or she may not engage in an Gondre activities. Then the last people who are very important are the parents. Mr. Chairman and all the principals, I call upon you, when you realize that a student has an issue, don't just do it yourself. Call the guardian. Sit down with the guardian. Find out what can be done. Possibly you can even recommend it for this boy to go for rehab or something, and then the boy or the girl can come back. That would have saved us all. So my appeal to you is that let us adopt a very diverse way method of actually sorting out discipline in school, which I'm referring to as integrated discipline management strategy. Adopt it and not go long. That is a strategy that the late Dr. Griffin, director of Stalehe Boys Center, was using when Stalehe was actually an epitome of success. I wish to remind you to continue ensuring that you put in place adequate measures to safeguard the rights of all learners in line with the provisions of the Constitution and other existing laws. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, allow me to say, as we open a new chapter in our education sector, principals and teachers will no doubt provide a firm foundation that will have profound impact on the next generation. When history is written, your contributions will have an enviable mark in the new era of education in Kenya. On my part, Mr. Chairman, I wish to reiterate the TSC commitment to continuously improving the welfare of all the principals and the teachers and their working environment, because we are the ones mandated on teacher management. Allow me to say, I know as a commission you have a serious shortage of teachers. We have 114,581 shortage. But I'm happy and I want to recognize His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, because his government this financial year has allocated 294.7 billion to land the TSC. Mostly, more than 80% goes to your salaries, which we are very keen to pay you by 25th of the month. There was a time you were paid on last year in June, you were paid on 15th of June, and you are wondering what is happening. That money is coming very early. We will continue serving you better, definitely. But allow me to say that, thank you. We will continue serving you better. You get your salaries on time. We remit to the dandy parties where you have gotten loans and other obligations, because we want you also to improve in your life. Allow me to say, Mr. Chairman, we have 2.5 billion for recruiting of new teachers for the 2022-2023 financial year. I want to promise this congregation, because I can see the director serving here, they are on course, and in a very short while, by the next short duration of time, possibly May, June, thereabout, we will have the advert, so that the teachers can report to school soon as possible. And to try to do this to bridge the gap. Something else I want to reassure you, Mr. Chairman, all those teachers who have left the commission through natural attrition, their replacements will be done efficiently and effectively to ensure that we don't have gaps. Mr. Chairman, we have automated most of our services. And the reason is simple. We want the teachers to remain more in class, delivering to the students, than walking in the streets looking for their services. And that's why we have called upon all our directors, from the field to the headquarters, to ensure that the teachers are given first priority in the service delivery. We don't want our teachers to complain, and I want to thank our directors because they are doing that. That's why you have devolved as a commission. Finally, let us all abide by the resolutions of this conference, personally handle them, and do what is required. Mr. Chairman, I want to reassure you, as Teacher Service Commission, once we get those resolutions, not when they are being read, but submitted to us in the official way, we will look at them. Areas that will require our urgent attention, we will attend to them urgently. Those that may require policy change, we will also address within the law. It is my sincere hope that the deliberations and the experience of this conference will prepare us to be effective principals in the new era of education in Kenya. And therefore, I declare this annual conference of principals officially closed. God bless you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause to our commission chair. Thank you, sir, for honoring us. I would like to ask Madam Florence, Principal Pangani, to move a vote of thanks.
Thank you for this moment. Thank you, Chair of the Commission, for gracing this occasion and giving a very powerful speech. And we are happy that you are behind us and we were ready to deliver as you have guided. At this juncture, I will request the Chair of Kesha to hand over a token of appreciation to the chair of the commission as we on the plenary continuously clap as the chair receives the token of appreciation. There is a token from St. Marcel. Bwana Waifoshi, please step up and let's continue clapping, It was a very powerful message. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. As the chair takes his seat, I humbly request our Senior Director, TSC, Nairobi County, Madam, please come and give us a closing prayer. Can we all rise?
Thank you very much, Chair of the Teacher Service Commission, and all the directors, Chair, Kesha, principals, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As we adjourn this great conference that we have had for the last 5 days, I wish that we go out with the words in Isaiah 58, verse 11, which says that the Lord will guide you continually, watering your life when you're dry and keeping you healthy too. You will be like a well-watered garden and a never-flowing spring. A spring is a cool place which produces clean water. And we have been here for the last 5 days to be watered in different ways. We have been in this hall to be watered. I know some of you may have been watered physically by sweating, especially wale wa bara. Others went to the sea to be watered. Others even left early when they were watered enough and could not take it anymore. But we are happy that we are still here and we have enjoyed the spring water that will transform you, as Isaiah tells us. And therefore, as we go back, ladies and gentlemen, what is it that will get out of you? What kind of water will get out of you as you go back to your institution? And my prayer is that you will remain a spring water that will be able to become a watering place for the rest of the community where you come from and your institution in particular. As we get out of here, we have enjoyed the blessings of the Lord and we are alive and we want to tell him that yeye ni mwema. And I know I have choir members here like Dr. Ndamburi, like our principal who was in Gishu, rather Moi Girls Eldoret was in Gishu, and others that we can join in this song of Israel, Ezekiah, Naja mbele zako. Naja mbele zako, Mungu wangu, nikiwa nazo heshima zote,
ninakiri yale uyatendayo, hakika wewe ni mwema. Tuimbe zote, naja mbele zako, naja mbele zako Mungu wangu, nikiwa nazo heshima zote, ninakiri yale uyatendayo, hakika wewe ni mwema, wewe ni mwema, haufananishwi, wewe ni mwema, wewe ni mwema, wewe ni mwema, haufananishwi, wewe ni mwema, Baba, ni wewe wa kuabudiwa, ni wewe wa kuabudiwa, ni wewe wa kupewa sifa na utukufu na heshima, ni wewe mwenye nguvu na uweza, ni wewe imba, ni wewe wa kuabudiwa, ni wewe, oh, ni wewe wa kuabudiwa, ni wewe wa kupewa sifa na utukufu na heshima, ni wewe mwenye nguvu na uweza, ni wewe.
Our Father and our God, we want to thank you for your mercies and your grace. We thank you, Lord, for the 5 days that we have been here. We have been at the watering place, just like we have been reminded in Isaiah 58 verse 11. And from Monday up to this time, we have been watered, and we are grateful that we are not getting out of this hall the same as we came in. We have enjoyed leadership right from our Excellency the President, from senior officers, from the chair of the commission that has closed for us this meeting, and other senior government officials that have been here throughout the week. And Lord, we are grateful that we have been guided. And therefore, as we go back to our institutions, we are not going back the same. We are going to be able to do what is expected of us through the guidance that we have gotten throughout the week. Our prayer is that, Lord, you may help us to make a difference in those institutions as we go back, so that we remember that we are parents, that we have been given that duty of headship and teaching our children in our institutions to make a difference in their lives, our Father. Therefore, we are thankful this afternoon. Thank you also. We are remembering our late president who has just arrested. Our prayer is that God may be with the family and even the nation of Kenya, even as we get into that mourning period. Our prayer is that, Lord, you remind us of the good deeds, the economy that he dealt with so closely, that was close to his heart, and many other things that we enjoy today through the leadership that he had. And help us, Lord, to borrow a leaf from that. Lord, we just want to glorify your name. We are also in an electioneering period. Our prayer is that, Lord, you give us men and women of character that will be able to lead this nation to the next level. We have journeys to go back to our institutions, to go back to our counties. Lord, we pray for journey mercies. We cancel every plan of the enemy against us. And we pray that each one of us will be able to arrive safely. And Lord, when we do so, we shall glorify your name. We thank you, Lord, and we honor your name, because it is our prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Now may the grace of Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you very much.
Let us consult after lunch. Thank you very much.